2 Chronicles chapter 1. Solomon the son of David was strengthened in his kingdom rule, and he exists. His supreme authority, mighty creator, was with him, and magnified him exceedingly. Solomon spoke to all Israel, to the captains of thousands and of hundreds, and to the judges, and to every ruler in all Israel, the chief of the fathers. So Solomon and all the assembly with him went to the high place that was at Gibon, because there was the tent of meeting of the supreme authority, mighty creator, which Moses the servant worker of he exists had made in the wilderness. But the ark of the supreme authority, mighty creator, had David brought up from Kirjath-jearim to the place which David had prepared for it, because he had pitched a tent for it at Jerusalem. Moreover, the bronze altar that Bezaleel the son of Uri the son of Hur had made, he put before the dwelling place of he exists, and Solomon and the assembly saw to it. Solomon went up there to the bronze altar before he exists, which was at the tent of meeting, and offered 1,000 burnt offerings upon it. In that night did the supreme authority, mighty creator, appear to Solomon, and said to him, "Ask what I will give you." Solomon said to the supreme authority, mighty creator, "You have shown great trust, loyalty to David my father, and have made me to reign in his stead. Now, O he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator, let your promise to David my father be established, because you have made me king ruler over a people group like the dust of the land in multitude. Give me now wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before this people group, because who can judge this your people group that is so great?" The supreme authority, mighty creator, said to Solomon, "Because this was in your inner thinking center, and you have not asked riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life breath of your enemies, neither yet have asked long life, but have asked wisdom and knowledge for yourself, that you may judge my people group over whom I have made you king ruler. Wisdom and knowledge is granted to you, and I will give you riches and wealth and honor such as none of the king rulers have had, that have been before you, neither will there any after you have the like." Then Solomon came from his journey to the high place that was at Gibon to Jerusalem, from before the tent of meeting, and reigned over Israel. Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, which he placed in the chariot cities, and with the king ruler at Jerusalem. The king ruler made silver and gold at Jerusalem, as stones and cedar trees made he, as the sycamore trees that are in the low plains, in abundance. Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, and linen yarn. The king ruler's merchants received the linen yarn at a price. They fetched up and brought forth out of Egypt a chariot for 600 shekels of silver, and a horse for 150, and so brought they out horses for all the king rulers of the Hittites, and for the king rulers of Syria by their means. 2 Chronicles chapter 2. Solomon determined to build a house for the name of he exists, and a house for his kingdom rule. Solomon told out 70,000 men to bear burdens, and 80,000 to hew in the mountain, and 3,600 to oversee them. Solomon sent to Huram the king ruler of Tyre, saying, "As you dealt with David my father, and sent him cedars to build him a house to dwell in, even so deal with me. Look, I build a house to the name of he exists, my supreme authority, mighty creator, to dedicate it to him, and to burn before him sweet incense, and for the continual showbread, and for the burnt offerings morning and evening, on the Sabbaths, and on the new moons, and on the set feasts of he exists, our supreme authority, mighty creator. This is an ordinance forever to Israel. The house which I build is great, because great is our supreme authority, mighty creator, above all supreme authorities. But who is able to build him a house, seeing the heavens and heaven of heavens cannot contain him? Who am I then, that I should build him a house, except only to burn sacrifice before him? Send me now therefore a man skillful to work in gold, and in silver, and in bronze, and in iron, and in purple, and crimson, and blue, and that can skill to engrave with the skillful men that are with me in Judah and in Jerusalem, whom David my father did provide. Send me also cedar trees, fir trees, and algum trees out of Lebanon, because I know that your servant workers can skill to cut timber in Lebanon, and look, my servant workers will be with your servant workers, even to prepare me timber in abundance, because the house which I am about to build will be wonderful great. Look, I will give to your servant workers, the hewers, that cut timber, 20,000 measures of beaten wheat, and 20,000 measures of barley, and 20,000 baths of wine, and 20,000 baths of oil." Then Huram the king ruler of Tyre answered in writing, which he sent to Solomon, Because he exists, has loved his people group, he has made you king ruler over them. Huram said to Moreover, blessed be he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, that made heaven and land, who has given to David the king ruler a wise son endued with prudence and understanding, that might build a house, for he exists, and a house for his kingdom rule. Now I have sent a skillful man endued with understanding of Huram my father's, the son of a woman of the daughters of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre, skillful to work in gold and in silver, in bronze, in iron, in stone, and in timber, in purple and blue, and in fine linen, and in crimson, also to engrave any manner of engraving, and to find out every device which will be put to him with your skillful men, and with the skillful men of my master authority David your father. Now therefore the wheat, and the barley, the oil, and the wine, which my master authority has spoken of, let him send to his servant workers. We will cut wood out of Lebanon as much as you will need, and we will bring it to you in floats, by sea to Joppa, and you will carry it up to Jerusalem. Solomon numbered all the strangers that were in the land of Israel after the numbering wherewith David his father had numbered them, and they were found 150,000 and 3,600. He set 70,000 of them to be bearers of burdens, and 80,000 to be hewers in the mountain, and 3,600 overseers, to set the people group a work. Chronicles chapter 3. Then Solomon began to build the house of he exists, Jerusalem in Mount Moriah, where he exists appeared to David his father in the place that David had prepared, in the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. He began to build in the 2nd day of the 2nd month in the 4th year of his reign. Now these are the things wherein Solomon was instructed for the building of the house of the supreme authority mighty creator. The length by cubits after the first measure was 60 cubits, and the breadth 20 cubits. The porch that was in the front of the house, the length of it was according to the breadth of the house 20 cubits, and the height was 120. And he overlaid it within with pure gold. The greater house he sealed with fir tree, which he overlaid with fine gold, and set on it palm trees and chains. He garnished the house with precious stones for beauty, and the gold was gold of Parvaim. He overlaid also the house, the beams, the posts, and the walls thereof, and the doors thereof, with gold and graved cherubims on the walls. He made the most set apart house, the length whereof was according to the breadth of the house 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 20 cubits, and he overlaid it with fine gold amounting to 600 talents. The weight of the nails was 50 shekels of gold, and he overlaid the upper chambers with gold. In the most set apart house he made 2 cherubims of image work, and overlaid them with gold. The wings of the cherubims were 20 cubits long. One wing of the one cherub was 5 cubits reaching to the wall of the house, and the other wing was likewise 5 cubits reaching to the wing of the other cherub. The wing of the other cherub was 5 cubits reaching to the wall of the house, and the other wing was 5 cubits also joining to the wing of the other cherub. The wings of these cherubims spread themselves forth 20 cubits, and they stood on their feet, and their faces were inward. He made the veil of blue and purple and crimson and fine linen, and wrought cherubims thereon. Also he made before the house 2 pillars of 30 and 5 cubits high, and the chapiter that was on the top of each of them was 5 cubits. He made chains as in the oracle, and put them on the heads of the pillars, and made 100 pomegranates, and put them on the chains. He reared up the pillars before the set apart house, one on the right hand, and the other on the left, and called the name of that on the right hand Jetchen, and the name of that on the left Boaz. Chronicles chapter 4. Moreover he made an altar of bronze 20 cubits the length thereof, and 20 cubits the breadth thereof, and 10 cubits the height thereof. Also he made a molten seal of 10 cubits, from brim to brim round in compass, and 5 cubits the height thereof, and a line of 30 cubits did compass it round about. Under it was the similitude of oxen which did compass it round about 10 and a cubit, compassing the sea round about. 2 rows of oxen were cast when it was cast. It stood upon 12 oxen, 3 looking toward the north, and 3 looking toward the west, and 3 looking toward the south, and 3 looking toward the east, and the sea was set above upon them, and all their hinder parts were inward. The thickness of it was a handbreadth, and the brim of it like the work of the brim of a cup with flowers of lilies, and it received and held 3,000 baths. He made also 10 lavers, and put 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left, to wash in them such things as they offered for the burnt offering they washed in them. but the sea was for the serving leaders to wash in. He made 10 candlesticks of gold according to their form and set them in the set-apart house, 5 on the right hand and 5 on the left. He made also 10 tables, and placed them in the set-apart house, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left, and he made 100 basins of gold. Furthermore he made the court of the serving leaders and the great court and doors for the court, and overlaid the doors of them with bronze. He set the seal on the right side of the east end over against the south. Huram made the pots and the shovels and the basins, and Huram finished the work that he was to make for King Ruler Solomon for the house of the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, to wit the 2 pillars and the pommels and the chapiters which were on the top of the 2 pillars, and the 2 wreaths to cover the 2 pommels of the chapiters which were on the top of the pillars, and 400 pomegranates on the 2 wreaths, 2 rows of pomegranates on each wreath to cover the 2 pommels of the chapiters which were upon the pillars. He made also bases, and lavers made he upon the bases, 1 sea and 12 oxen under it. The pots also, and the shovels, and the fleshels, and all their instruments did Huram his father make to King Ruler Solomon for the house of he exists of bright bronze. In the plain of Jordan did the King Ruler cast them in the clay ground between Succoth and Zeradatha. Thus Solomon made all these vessels in great abundance, because the weight of the bronze could not be found out. Solomon made all the vessels that were for the house of the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator, the golden altar also, and the tables whereon the showbread was set. Moreover the candlesticks with their lamps, that they should burn after the manner before the oracle of pure gold, and the flowers and the lamps and the tongues made he of gold, and that perfect gold, and the snuffers and the basins and the spoons and the censers of pure gold, and the entry of the house, the inner doors thereof, for the most set-apart place, and the doors of the house of the set-apart house were of gold. 2 Chronicles chapter 5. Thus all the work that Solomon made for the house of he exists was finished, and Solomon brought in all the things that David his father had dedicated, and the silver and the gold and all the instruments put he among the treasures of the house of the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel, and all the heads of the tribes, the chief of the fathers of the children of Israel, to Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the binding agreement of he exists out of the city of David, which is Zion. Therefore all the men of Israel assembled themselves to the king ruler in the feast, which was in the 7th month. All the elders of Israel came, and the Levites took up the ark. They brought up the ark, and the tent of meeting, and all the set-apart vessels that were in the tent. These did the serving leaders and the Levites bring up. Also King Ruler Solomon and all the assembly of Israel that were assembled to him before the ark sacrificed sheep and oxen, which could not be told nor numbered for multitude. The serving leaders brought in the ark of the binding agreement of he exists to his place, to the oracle of the house, into the most set-apart place, even under the wings of the cherubims, because the cherubims spread forth their wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubims covered the ark, and the staves thereof above. They drew out the staves of the ark, that the ends of the staves were seen from the ark before the oracle, but they were not seen outside, and there it is to this day. There was nothing in the ark except the 2 tables which Moses put in it at Horeb, when he exists made a binding agreement with the children of Israel when they came out of Egypt. It happened when the serving leaders were come out of the set-apart place, because all the serving leaders that were present were sanctified, and did not then wait by course. Also the Levites, which were the singers all of them of Asaph, of Heman, of Jeduthun, with their sons and their brothers, being arrayed in white linen, having cymbals and psalteries and harps, stood at the east end of the altar, and with them 120 serving leaders sounding with trumpets. It came even to pass, as the trumpeters and singers were as one, to make one sound to be heard, in giving great honor with joy, and praising he exists. And when they lifted up their voice with the trumpets, and cymbals and instruments of music, and gave great honor with joy to he exists, saying, because he is good, because his trust loyalty endures forever, that then the house was filled with a cloud, even the house of he exists, so that the serving leaders could not stand to minister because of the cloud, because the glory of he exists had filled the house of the Supreme Authority, mighty Creator. 2 Chronicles chapter 6. Then said Solomon, he exists, has said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. But I have built a house of habitation for you and a place for your dwelling forever. The king ruler turned his face and blessed the whole assembly of Israel, and all the assembly of Israel stood. He said, Blessed be he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, who has with his hands fulfilled that which he spoke with his mouth to David my father, saying, Since the day that I brought forth my people group out of the land of Egypt, I chose no city among all the tribes of Israel to build a house in, that my name might be there, neither chose I any man to be a ruler over my people group Israel. But I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there, and have chosen David to be over my people group Israel. Now it was in the inner thinking center of David my father, to build a house for the name of he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel. But he exists said to David my father, Forasmuch as it was in your inner thinking center to build a house for my name, you did well in that it was in your inner thinking center. Nevertheless you will not build the house, but your son, which will come forth out of your loins, he will build the house for my name. He exists therefore has performed his word that he has spoken, because I am risen up in the room of David my father, and am set on the throne of Israel as he exists promised, and have built the house for the name of he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel. In it have I put the ark, wherein is the binding agreement of he exists that he made with the children of Israel. He stood before the altar of he exists in the presence of all the assembly of Israel, and spread forth his hands. Because Solomon had made a bronze scaffold of 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad, and 3 cubits high, and had set it in the midst of the court, and upon it he stood and kneeled down upon his knees before all the assembly of Israel, then spread forth his hands toward heaven. He said, O ye exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, there is no supreme authority, mighty creator like you in the heavens nor in the land, which keeps binding agreement and trust loyalty with your servant workers, that walk before you with all their inner thinking center. You which have kept with your servant worker David my father, that which you have promised him and spoke with your mouth, and have fulfilled it with your hand as it is this day. Now therefore, O he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, keep with your servant worker David my father, that which you have promised him, saying, There will not fail you a man in my sight to sit upon the throne of Israel, yet so that your children take heed to their travel path, to walk in my instruction law as you have walked before me. Now then, O he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, let your word be verified, which you have spoken to your servant worker David. But will the supreme authority, mighty creator, in very deed dwell with men on the land? Look, heaven and heaven of heavens cannot contain you, how much less this house which I have built. Have respect therefore to the prayer of your servant worker, and to his supplication, O he exists, my supreme authority, mighty creator, to listen to the cry and the prayer which your servant worker prays before you, that your eyes may be open upon this house day and night, upon the place whereof you have said that you would put your name there, to listen to the prayer which your servant worker prays toward this place. Listen therefore to the supplications of your servant worker and of your people group Israel, which they will make toward this place. Hear you from your dwelling place, even from heaven, and when you hear, forgive. If a man wrong against his neighbor, and an oath be laid upon him to make him swear, and the oath come before your altar in this house, then hear you from heaven, and do and judge your servant workers, by requiting the wicked, by recompensing his travel path upon his own head, and by justifying the right, by giving him according to his rightness. If your people group Israel be put to the worse before the enemy, because they have did wrong against you, and will return and give great honor with joy to your name, and pray and make supplication before you in this house, then hear you from the heavens, and forgive the wrong of your people group Israel, and bring them again to the land which you gave to them and to their fathers. When the heavens are shut up and there is no rain, because they have did wrong against you, yet if they pray toward this place, and give great honor with joy to your name, and turn from their wrong when you afflict them, then hear you from heaven, and forgive the wrong of your servant workers, and of your people group Israel, when you have taught them the good travel path wherein they should walk, and send rain upon your land, which you have given to your people group for an inheritance. If there be famine in the land, if there be pestilence, if there be blasting or mildew, locusts or caterpillars, if their enemies besiege them in the cities of their land, whatsoever sore or whatsoever sickness there be, then what prayer or what supplication soever will be made of any man or of all your people group Israel, when everyone will know his own sore and his own grief, and will spread forth his hands in this house. Then hear you from heaven your dwelling place, and forgive, and render to every man according to all his travel paths, whose inner thinking center you know, because you only know the inner thinking centers of the children of men, that they may fear you to walk in your travel paths so long as they live in the land which you gave to our fathers. Moreover, concerning the stranger, which is not of your people group Israel, but is come from a far country for your great name's sake and your mighty hand and your stretched out arm, if they come and pray in this house, then hear you from the heavens, even from your dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calls to you, for that all people, nations of the land may know your name, and fear you as does your people group Israel, and may know that this house, which I have built, is called by your name. If your people group go out to war against their enemies, by the travel path that you will send them, and they pray to you toward this city, which you have chosen, and the house which I have built for your name, then hear you from the heavens their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. If they wrong against you, because there is no man which wrongs not, and you be angry with them, and deliver them over before their enemies, and they carry them away captives to a land far off or near. Yet if they bethink themselves in the land where they are carried captive, and turn and pray to you in the land of their captivity, saying, we have did wrong, we have done amiss, and have dealt wickedly, if they return to you with all their inner thinking center and with all their life breath in the land of their captivity, where they have carried them captives, and pray toward their land which you gave to their fathers, and toward the city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I have built for your name, then hear you from the heavens, even from your dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people group, which have did wrong against you. Now my supreme authority, mighty Creator, let, I beseech you, your eyes be open, and let your ears be attentive to the prayer that is made in this place. Now therefore arise, O ye exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator, into your resting place, you and the ark of your strength, let your serving leaders, O ye exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator, be clothed with rescue, and let your set-apart ones rejoice in goodness. O he exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator, turn not away the face of your anointed, remember the trust loyalty of David your servant worker. 2 Chronicles chapter 7. Now, when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of he exists filled the house. The serving leaders could not enter into the house of he exists, because the glory of he exists had filled he exists' house. When all the children of Israel saw how the fire came down and the glory of he exists upon the house, they bowed themselves with their faces to the ground upon the pavement, and bowed down and gave great honor with joy to he exists, saying, because he is good, because his trust loyalty endures forever. Then the king ruler and all the people group offered sacrifices before he exists. King ruler Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. So the king ruler and all the people group dedicated the house of the supreme authority, mighty Creator. The serving leaders waited on their offices, the Levites also with instruments of music of he exists, which David the king ruler had made to give great honor with joy to he exists, because his trust loyalty endures forever. When David praised by their ministry, and the serving leaders sounded trumpets before them, and all Israel stood. Moreover, Solomon set apart the middle of the court that was before the house of he exists, because there he offered burnt offerings and the fat of the peace offerings, because the bronze altar which Solomon had made was not able to receive the burnt offerings and the meat offerings and the fat. Also, at the same time Solomon kept the feast 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great assembly, from the entering in of Hamath to the river of Egypt. In the 8th day they made a solemn assembly, because they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days, and the feast 7 days. On the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people group away into their tents glad and merry, in inner thinking center, for the goodness that he exists had shown to David and to Solomon and to Israel his people group. Thus Solomon finished the house of he exists, and the king ruler's house, and all that came into Solomon's inner thinking center to make in the house of he exists, and in his own house he prosperously effected. He exists appeared to Solomon by night and said to him, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place to myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people group, if my people group, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their evil travel paths, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their wrong and will heal their land. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to the prayer that is made in this place. Because now have I chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my inner thinking center will be there perpetually. As for you, if you will walk before me as David your father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded you, and will observe my set rules and my fair judgments, then will I establish the throne of your kingdom. Rule according as I have covenanted with David your father, saying, there will not fail you a man to be ruler in Israel. But if you turn away and forsake my set rules and my commands which I have set before you, and will go and serve other supreme authorities, and bow down them, then will I pluck them up by the roots out of my land which I have given them, and this house, which I have sanctified for my name, will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among all people nations. This house, which is high, will be an astonishment to everyone that passes by it, so that he will say, why has he exists done thus to this land and to this house? It will be answered, because they forsook he exists supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers, which brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, and laid hold on other supreme authorities, and bowed down them, and served them. Therefore has he brought all this evil upon them. 2 Chronicles chapter 8. It happened at the end of 20 years, wherein Solomon had built the house of he exists and his own house, that the cities which Hiram had restored to Solomon built them, and caused the children of Israel to dwell there. Solomon went to Hamath-Sabah and prevailed against it. He built Tadmor in the wilderness, and all the store cities which he built in Hamath. Also he built Bethhoron the upper, and Bethhoron the nether fenced cities with walls, gates, and bars, and Baalath, and all the store cities that Solomon had, and all the chariot cities, and the cities of the horsemen, and all that Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, and in Lebanon, and throughout all the land of his dominion. As for all the people group that were left of the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which were not of Israel, but of their children who were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel consumed not, them did Solomon make to pay tribute until this day. But of the children of Israel did Solomon make no servant workers for his work, but they were men of war, and chief of his captains, and captains of his chariots and horsemen. These were the chief of King ruler Solomon's officers, even 250 that bare rule over the people group. Solomon brought up the daughter of Pharaoh out of the city of David to the house that he had built for her, because he said, my wife will not dwell in the house of David king ruler of Israel, because the places are set apart whereunto the ark of he exists has come. Then Solomon offered burnt offerings to he exists on the altar of he exists, which he had built before the porch, even after a certain rate every day, offering according to the command of Moses, on the Sabbaths, and on the new moons, and on the solemn feasts 3 times in the year, even in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of booths. He appointed according to the order of David his father the courses of the serving leaders to their service, and the Levites to their charges, to give great honor with joy, and to minister before the serving leaders, as the duty of every day required. The porters also by their courses at every gate, because so had David the man of the supreme authority, mighty creator, commanded. They departed not from the command of the king ruler to the serving leaders and Levites concerning any matter, or concerning the treasures. Now all the work of Solomon was prepared to the day of the foundation of the house of he exists, and until it was finished. So the house of he exists was perfected. Then went Solomon to Ezion-Geber, and to Aloth at the seaside in the land of Edom. Hiram sent him by the hands of his servant workers ships and servant workers that had knowledge of the sea, and they went with the servant workers of Solomon to Ophir, and took from their 450 talents of gold, and brought them to King ruler Solomon. 2 Chronicles chapter 9. When the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon, she came to prove Solomon with hard questions at Jerusalem with a very great company, and camels, that bore spices and gold in abundance, and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her inner thinking center. Solomon told her all her questions, and there was nothing hid from Solomon which he did not tell her. When the queen of Sheba had seen the wisdom of Solomon, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servant workers, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, his cupbearers also, and their apparel, and his ascent by which he went up into the house of he exists, there was no more breath in her. She said to the king ruler, it was a true report which I heard in my own land of your acts and of your wisdom. Nevertheless I did not believe their words until I came, and my eyes had seen it. And look, the half of the greatness of your wisdom was not told me, because you exceed the fame that I heard. Happy are your men, and happy are these your servant workers, which stand continually before you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be he exists, your supreme authority, mighty creator, which delighted in you to set you on his throne to be king ruler. For he exists, your supreme authority, mighty creator, because your supreme authority, mighty creator, loved Israel to establish them forever. Therefore made he you king ruler over them, to do fair judgment and rightness. She gave the king ruler 120 talents of gold, and of spices great abundance, and precious stones. Neither was there any such spice as the queen of Sheba gave king ruler Solomon. The servant workers also of Huram, and the servant workers of Solomon, which brought gold from Ophir, brought algum trees and precious stones. The king ruler made of the algum trees terraces to the house of he exists, and to the king ruler's palace, and harps and psalteries for sinners, and there were none such seen before in the land of Judah. King ruler Solomon gave to the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatever she asked besides that which she had brought to the king ruler. So she turned and went away to her own land, she and her servant workers. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold, besides that which chapmen and merchants brought. And all the king rulers of Arabia and governors of the country brought gold and silver to Solomon. King ruler Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold, 600 shekels of beaten gold went to one target. 300 shields made he of beaten gold, 300 shekels of gold went to one shield, and the king ruler put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king ruler made a great throne of ivory, and overlaid it with pure gold. There were 6 steps to the throne, with a footstool of gold, which were fastened to the throne, and stays on each side of the sitting place, and 2 lions standing by the stays. 12 lions stood there on the one side, and on the other. Upon the 6 steps there was not the like made in any kingdom ruler. All the drinking vessels of king ruler Solomon were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold, none were of silver. It was not anything accounted of in the days of Solomon, because the king ruler's ships went to Tarshish with the servant workers of Huron. Every 3 years once came the ships of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. King ruler Solomon passed all the king rulers of the land in riches and wisdom. All the king rulers of the land sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, that the supreme authority, mighty creator, had put in his inner thinking center. They brought every man his present vessels of silver, and vessels of gold, and garments, harness, and spices, horses, and mules, a great year by year. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots, and 12,000 horsemen, whom he bestowed in the chariot cities, and with the king ruler at Jerusalem. He reigned over all the king rulers from the river even to the land of the Philistines, and to the border of Egypt. The king ruler made silver in Jerusalem, as stones, and cedar trees made he, as the sycamore trees that are in the low plains, in abundance. They brought to Solomon horses out of Egypt and out of all lands. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, first and last, are they not written in the book of Nathan the speaker, and in the prophecy of Ahijah the Shilonite, and in the visions of Iddo the seer against Jeroboam the son of Nebat? Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years. Solomon slept with his fathers, and he was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 10. Rehoboam went to Shechem, because to Shechem were all Israel come to make him king ruler. It happened, when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was in Egypt, where he had fled from the presence of Solomon the king ruler, heard it, that Jeroboam returned out of Egypt, they sent and called him. So Jeroboam and all Israel came and spoke to Rehoboam, saying, Your father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore ease you somewhat the grievous service of your father and his heavy yoke that he put upon us, and we will serve you. He said to them, Come again to me after 3 days. And the people group departed. King ruler Rehoboam took counsel with the old men that had stood before Solomon his father, while he yet lived, saying, What counsel give you me to return answer to this people group? They spoke to him, saying, If you be kind to this people group, and please them, and speak good words to them, they will be your servant workers forever. But he forsook the counsel which the old men gave him, and took counsel with the young men that were brought up with him, that stood before him. He said to them, What advice give you, that we may return answer to this people group, which have spoken to me, saying, Ease somewhat the yoke that your father did put upon us? The young men that were brought up with him spoke to him, saying, Thus will you answer the people group that spoke to you, saying, Your father made our yoke heavy, but make you it somewhat lighter for us. Thus will you say to them, My little finger will be thicker than my father's loins. Now where is my father? Put a heavy yoke upon you, I will put more to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So Jeroboam and all the people group came to Rehoboam on the 3rd day, as the king ruler bade, saying, Come again to me on the 3rd day. The king ruler answered them roughly, and king ruler Rehoboam forsook the counsel of the old men, spoke to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to it. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So the king ruler did not listen to the people group, because the cause was of the supreme authority, mighty creator, that he exists, might perform his word, which he spoke by the hand of Ahijah the Shilonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. When all Israel saw that the king ruler would not listen to them, the people group answered the king ruler, saying, What portion have we in David? And we have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to your tents, O Israel. And now David, see to your own house. So all Israel went to their tents. But as for the children of Israel that dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then king ruler Rehoboam sent Hadoram, that was over the tribute, and the children of Israel stoned him with stones that he died. But king ruler Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. And Israel rebelled against the house of David to this day. 2 Chronicles chapter 11. When Rehoboam came to Jerusalem, he gathered of the house of Judah and Benjamin 180,000 chosen men, which were warriors, to fight against Israel, that he might bring the kingdom rule again to Rehoboam. But the word of he exists came to Shemaiah, the man of the supreme authority, mighty creator, saying, Speak to Rehoboam the son of Solomon, king ruler of Judah, and to all Israel in Judah and Benjamin, saying, Thus says he exists, you will not go up nor fight against your brothers. Return every man to his house, because this thing is done of me. And they obeyed the words of he exists, and returned from going against Jeroboam. Rehoboam dwelt in Jerusalem and built cities for defense in Judah. He built even Bethlehem and Etam and Tekoa, and Bethsur and Shoko and Adullam, and Gath and Mersha and Ziph, and Adoram and Lachish and Azekah, and Sora and Ajalon and Hebron, which are in Judah and in Benjamin, fenced cities. He fortified the strongholds and put captains in them, and store of victual and of oil and wine. In every several city he put shields and spears, and made them exceeding strong, having Judah and Benjamin on his side. The serving leaders and the Levites that were in all Israel resorted to him out of all their coasts, because the Levites left their suburbs and their possession, and came to Judah and Jerusalem, because Jeroboam and his sons had cast them off from executing the serving leaders' office to he exists. He ordained him serving leaders for the high places, and for the devils, and for the calves which he had made. After them out of all the tribes of Israel, such as sat their inner thinking center, to seek he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, came to Jerusalem to sacrifice to he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers. So they strengthened the kingdom rule of Judah, and made Rehoboam the son of Solomon strong 3 years. because 3 years they walked in the travel path of David and Solomon. Rehoboam took to him Mahalath the daughter of Jeremoth the son of David to wife, and Abihail the daughter of Eliab the son of Jesse, which bare him children Jush and Shamariah and Zaham. After her he took Maachah the daughter of Absalom, which bare him Abijah and Attai and Ziza and Shelemith. Rehoboam loved Maachah the daughter of Absalom above all his wives and his concubines, because he took 18 wives and 60 concubines, and begot 20, and 8 sons and 60 daughters. Rehoboam made Abijah the son of Maachah the chief to be ruler among his brothers, because he thought to make him king-ruler. He dealt wisely and dispersed of all his children throughout all the countries of Judah and Benjamin to every fenced city, and he gave them victual in abundance, and he desired many wives. 2 Chronicles chapter 12. It happened, when Rehoboam had established the kingdom rule and had strengthened himself, he forsook the instruction law of he exists, and all Israel with him. It happened that in the 5th year of king-ruler Rehoboam, Shishak king-ruler of Egypt came up against Jerusalem, because they had transgressed against he exists, with 1,200 chariots and 60,000 horsemen, and the people group were without number, that came with him out of Egypt, the Lubims, the Sukkiims, and the Ethiopians. He took the fenced cities which pertained to Judah, and came to Jerusalem. Then came Shimei the speaker to Rehoboam, and to the princes of Judah that were gathered together to Jerusalem, because of Shishak, and said to them, Thus says he exists, you have forsaken me, and therefore have I also left you in the hand of Shishak. Whereupon the princes of Israel and the king-ruler humbled themselves, and they said, He exists is right. When he exists saw that they humbled themselves, the word of he exists came to Shimei, saying, They have humbled themselves, therefore I will not destroy them, but I will grant them some deliverance, and my wrath will not be poured out upon Jerusalem by the hand of Shishak. Nevertheless they will be his servant workers, that they may know my service and the service of the kingdoms of the lands. So Shishak king-ruler of Egypt came up against Jerusalem, and took away the treasures of the house of he exists, and the treasures of the king-ruler's house he took all. He carried away also the shields of gold, which Solomon had made, instead of which king-ruler Rehoboam made shields of bronze, and committed them to the hands of the chief of the guard that kept the entrance of the king-ruler's house. When the king-ruler entered into the house of he exists, the guard came and fetched them, and brought them again into the guard chamber. When he humbled himself, the wrath of he exists turned from him, that he would not destroy him altogether, and also in Judah things went well. So king-ruler Rehoboam strengthened himself in Jerusalem, and reigned, because Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem the city, which he exists had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there, and his mother's name was Naamah an Ammonitess. He did evil because he prepared not his inner thinking center to seek he exists. Now the acts of Rehoboam, first and last, are they not written in the book of Shimei the speaker, and of Iddo the seer concerning genealogies? And there were wars between Rehoboam and Jeroboam continually. Rehoboam slept with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David, and Abijah his son reigned in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 13. Now in the 18th year of king-ruler Jeroboam began Abijah to reign over Judah. He reigned 3 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Micaiah the daughter of Uriel of Jibah, and there was war between Abijah and Jeroboam. Abijah set the battle in array with an army of valiant men of war, even 400,000 chosen men. Jeroboam also set the battle in array against him with 800,000 chosen men, being mighty men of valor. Abijah stood up upon Mount Samarim, which is in Mount Ephraim, and said, Hear me, you Jeroboam, and all Israel. Ought you not to know that he exists? Supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, gave the kingdom rule over Israel to David forever, even to him and to his sons, by binding agreement of salt. Yet Jeroboam the son of Nebat, the servant worker of Solomon the son of David, is risen up, and has rebelled against his master authority. There are gathered to him vain men, the children of Belial, and have strengthened themselves against Rehoboam the son of Solomon, when Rehoboam was young and tender, and could not withstand them. Now you think to withstand the kingdom rule of he exists in the hand of the sons of David, and you be a great multitude, and there are with you golden calves, which Jeroboam made you for supreme authorities. Have you not cast out the serving leaders of he who exists, the sons of Aaron and the Levites, and have made you serving leaders, after the manner of the people nations of other lands, so that whoever comes to consecrate himself with a young bullock and 7 rams, the same may be a serving leader of them that are no supreme authorities. But as for us, he exists, is our supreme authority, mighty creator, and we have not forsaken him. And the serving leaders which minister to he exists, so the sons of Aaron and the Levites wait upon their business. They burn to he exists every morning and every evening burnt sacrifices and sweet incense. The showbread also set they in order upon the pure table, and the candlestick of gold with the lamps thereof to burn every evening, because we keep the charge of he who exists, our supreme authority, mighty creator. But you have forsaken him. Look, the supreme authority, mighty creator himself is with us for our captain, and his serving leaders with sounding trumpets to cry alarm against you, O children of Israel. Fight you not against he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of your fathers, because you will not prosper. But Jeroboam caused an ambushment to come about behind them, so they were before Judah, and the ambushment was behind them. When Judah looked back, look, the battle was before and behind, and they cried to he exists, and the serving leaders sounded with the trumpets. Then the men of Judah gave a shout, and as the men of Judah shouted, it happened that the supreme authority, mighty creator, struck Jeroboam and all Israel before Abijah and Judah. The children of Israel fled before Judah, and the supreme authority, mighty creator, delivered them into their hand. Abijah and his people group struck them with a great slaughter, so there fell down slain of Israel 500,000 chosen men. Thus the children of Israel were brought under at that time, and the children of Judah prevailed, because they relied upon he who exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers. Abijah pursued after Jeroboam and took cities from him, Bethel with the towns thereof, and Jeshanah with the towns thereof, and Ephraim with the towns thereof. Neither did Jeroboam recover strength again in the days of Abijah, and he who exists struck him, and he died. But Abijah waxed mighty, and married 14 wives, and begot 22 sons and 16 daughters. The rest of the acts of Abijah, and his travel paths, and his sayings, are written in the story of the speaker Iddo. 2 Chronicles chapter 14. So Abijah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his stead. In his days the land was quiet 10 years. Asa did that which was good and right in the eyes of he exists, his supreme authority, mighty creator, because he took away the altars of the strange supreme authorities and high places, and broke down the pillars, and cut down the Asherim, commanded Judah to seek he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers, and to do the instruction, law, and the command. Also he took away out of all the cities of Judah the high places, and the sun images, and the kingdom rule was quiet before him. He built fenced cities in Judah, because the land had rest, and he had no war in those years, because he exists had given him rest. Therefore he said to Judah, let us build these cities, and make about them walls and towers, gates and bars, while the land is yet before us. Because we have sought he exists, our supreme authority, mighty creator, we have sought him, and he has given us rest on every side. So they built and prospered. Asa had an army of men that bore targets and spears, out of Judah 300,000, and out of Benjamin that bore shields, and drew bows 280,000. All these were mighty men of valor. There came out against them Zerah the Ethiopian with a host of 1,000 and 300 chariots, and came to Mareshah. Then Asa went out against him, and they set the battle in array in the valley of Zephathah at Mareshah. Asa cried to he exists, his supreme authority, mighty creator, and said, he exists, it is nothing with you to help, whether with many or with them that have no power. Help us, O he exists, our supreme authority, mighty creator, because we rest on you, and in your name we go against this multitude. O he exists, you are our supreme authority, mighty creator, let not man prevail against you. So he exists struck the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. Asa and the people group that were with him pursued them to Gerar, and the Ethiopians were overthrown, that they could not recover themselves, because they were destroyed before he exists and before his host, and they carried away very much spoil. They struck all the cities round about Gerar, because the fear of he exists came upon them, and they spoiled all the cities, because there was exceeding much spoil in them. They struck also the tents of cattle, and carried away sheep and camels in abundance, and returned to Jerusalem. Chronicles chapter 15. The creative breath of the supreme authority mighty Creator came upon Azariah the son of Oded. He went out to meet Asa, and said to him, Hear me, Asa, and all Judah and Benjamin. He exists, is with you, while you be with him, and if you seek him he will be found of you, but if you forsake him he will forsake you. Now for a long season Israel has been without the true supreme authority mighty Creator, and without a teaching serving leader, and without instruction law. But when they in their trouble turned to the exists supreme authority mighty Creator of Israel and sought him, he was found of them. In those times there was no peace to him that went out, nor to him that came in, but great vexations were upon all the inhabitants of the lands. Nation was destroyed of nation, and city of city, because the supreme authority mighty Creator vexed them with all adversity. Be you strong therefore, and let not your hands be weak, because your work will be rewarded. When Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Oded the speaker, he took courage and put away the detestable things out of all the land of Judah and Benjamin, and out of the cities which he had taken from Mount Ephraim, and renewed the altar of He Exists that was before the porch of He Exists. He gathered all Judah and Benjamin and the strangers with them out of Ephraim and Manasseh and out of Simon, because they fell to him out of Israel in abundance when they saw that He Exists, His supreme authority mighty Creator was with him. So they gathered themselves together at Jerusalem in the 3rd month in the 15th year of the reign of Asa. They offered to He Exists the same time of the spoil, which they had brought 700 oxen and 7,000 sheep. They entered into a binding agreement to seek He Exists supreme authority mighty Creator of their fathers with all their inner thinking center, and with all their life breath, that whoever would not seek He Exists supreme authority mighty Creator of Israel should be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman. They swore to He Exists with a loud voice, and with shouting, and with trumpets, and with cornets. All Judah rejoiced at the oath, because they had sworn with all their inner thinking center, and sought him with their whole desire. And he was found of them, and He Exists gave them rest round about. Also concerning much of the mother of Asa the king ruler, he removed her from being queen, because she had made an idol in a grove, and Asa cut down her idol, and stamped it, and burnt it at the brook Kidron. But the high places were not taken away out of Israel. Nevertheless the inner thinking center of Asa was complete all his days. He brought into the house of the supreme authority mighty Creator the things that his father had dedicated, and that he himself had dedicated, silver and gold and vessels. There was no more war to the 35th year of the reign of Asa. 2 Chronicles chapter 16. In the 6th and 30th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha, king ruler of Israel, came up against Judah, and built Ramah to the intent that he might let none go out or come into Asa king ruler of Judah. Then Asa brought out silver and gold out of the treasures of the house of He Exists, and of the king ruler's house, and sent to Ben-Hadad king ruler of Syria, that dwelt at Damascus, saying, There is a league between me and you, as there was between my father and your father. Look, I have sent you silver and gold. Go break your league with Baasha king ruler of Israel, that he may depart from me. Ben-Hadad listened to king ruler Asa, and sent the captains of his armies against the cities of Israel, and they struck Ijon and Dan and Abel-Maim, and all the store cities of Naphtali. It happened, when Baasha heard it, that he left off building of Ramah, and let his work cease. Then Asa the king ruler took all Judah, and they carried away the stones of Ramah, and the timber thereof, wherewith Baasha was building, and he built there with Jebah and Mizpah. At that time Hanani the seer came to Asa king ruler of Judah, and said to him, Because you have relied on the king ruler of Syria, and not relied on He Exists, your supreme authority mighty Creator, therefore is the host of the king ruler of Syria escaped out of your hand. Were not the Ethiopians and the Lubans a huge host with very many chariots and horsemen? Yet, because you relied on He Exists, He delivered them into your hand. Because the eyes of He Exists run to and fro throughout the whole land, to show Himself strong in the behalf of them, whose inner thinking center is complete toward Him, wherein you have done foolishly. Therefore from now on you will have wars. Then Asa was angry with the seer, and put him in a prison house, because he was in a rage with him. Because of this thing, and Asa pressed some of the people group at the same time. Look, the acts of Asa first and last. Look, they are written in the book of the king rulers of Judah and Israel. Asa in the 39th year of his reign was diseased in his feet until his disease was exceeding great, yet in his disease he sought not to he exists, but to the physicians. Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 41st year of his reign. They buried him in his own sepulchres, which he had made for himself in the city of David, and laid him in the bed which was filled with sweet odors and various kinds of spices prepared by the apothecary's art, and they made a very great burning for him. 2 Chronicles chapter 17. Jehoshaphat his son reigned in his stead, and strengthened himself against Israel. He placed forces in all the fenced cities of Judah, and set garrisons in the land of Judah, and in the cities of Ephraim, which Asa his father had taken. He was with Jehoshaphat, because he walked in the first trampled paths of David his father, and sought not to the Baalim, but sought to he exists supreme authority, mighty creator of his father, and walked in his commands, and not after the doings of Israel. Therefore he exists established the kingdom rule in his hand, and all Judah brought to Jehoshaphat presents, and he had riches and honor in abundance. His inner thinking center was lifted up in the travel paths of he exists. Moreover, he took away the high places and Asherin out of Judah. Also in the 3rd year of his reign he sent to his princes, even to Benhail, and to Obadiah, and to Zechariah, and to Nathaniel, and to Micaiah, to teach in the cities of Judah. With them he sent Levites, even Shemaiah, and Nethaniah, and Zebadiah, and Asahel, and Shemiramoth, and Jehonathan, and Adonijah, and Tobijah, and Tobadonijah Levites, and with them Elishama and Jehoram serving leaders. They taught in Judah, and had the book of the instruction law of he exists with them, and went about throughout all the cities of Judah, and taught the people group. The fear of he exists fell upon all the kingdom rules of the lands that were round about Judah, so that they made no war against Jehoshaphat. Also some of the Philistines brought Jehoshaphat presents and tribute silver, and the Arabians brought him flocks 7,700 rams, and 7,700 he-goats. Jehoshaphat waxed great exceedingly, and he built in Judah castles and cities of store. He had much business in the cities of Judah, and the men of war, mighty men of valor, were in Jerusalem. These are the numbers of them according to the house of their fathers of Judah, the captains of thousands, Adnah the chief, and with him mighty men of valor 300,000. Next to him was Jehohanan the captain, and with him 280,000. Next him was Amasiah the son of Zikri, who willingly offered himself to he exists, and with him 200,000 mighty men of valor. Of Benjamin Eliada, a mighty man of valor, and with him armed men with bow and shield 200,000. Next him was Jehozabad, and with him 180,000 ready prepared for the war. These waited on the king ruler, besides those whom the king ruler put in the fenced cities throughout all Judah. 2 Chronicles chapter 18. Jehoshaphat had riches and honor in abundance, and joined affinity with Ahab. After certain years he went down to Ahab to Samaria, and Ahab killed sheep and oxen for him in abundance, and for the people group that he had with him, and persuaded him to go up with him to Ramoth-Gilead. Ahab, king ruler of Israel, said to Jehoshaphat, king ruler of Judah, will you go with me to Ramoth-Gilead? And he answered him, I am as you are, and my people group as your people group, and we will be with you in the war. Jehoshaphat said to the king ruler of Israel, inquire, I pray you, if the word of he exists today. Therefore the king ruler of Israel gathered together of speakers 400 men, and said to them, will we go to Ramoth-Gilead to battle, or will I forbear? And they said, go up, because the supreme authority, mighty creator, will deliver it into the king ruler's hand. Jehoshaphat said, is there not here a speaker of he exists besides, that we might inquire of him? The king ruler of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, there is yet one man by whom we may inquire if he exists, but I hate him, because he never prophesies good to me, but always evil. The same is Micaiah the son of Imlah. And Jehoshaphat said, let not the king ruler say so. The king ruler of Israel called for one of his officers, and said, fetch quickly Micaiah the son of Imlah. The king ruler of Israel and Jehoshaphat king ruler of Judah sat either of them on his throne, clothed in their robes, and they sat in a void place at the entering in of the gate of Samaria. And all the speakers prophesied before them. Zedekiah the son of Chenaanah had made him horns of iron, and said, thus says he exists, with these you will push Syria until they be consumed. All the speakers prophesied so, saying, Go up to Ramoth-Gilead and prosper. Because he exists, will deliver it into the hand of the king ruler. The messenger that went to call Micaiah spoke to him, saying, Look, the words of the speakers declare good to the king ruler with one assent. Let your word therefore, I pray you, be like one of theirs, and speak good. Micaiah said, As he exists, lives, even what my supreme authority, mighty creator, says, that will I speak. When he came to the king ruler said to him, Micaiah, will we go to Ramoth-Gilead to battle, or will I forbear? And he said, Go up and prosper, and they will be delivered into your hand. The king ruler said to him, How many times will I adjure you that you say nothing but the truth to me in the name of he exists? Then he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the mountains as sheep that have no shepherd. And he exists said, These have no master authority, let them return therefore every man to his house in peace. The king ruler of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, Did I not tell you that he would not prophesy good to me, but evil? Again he said, Therefore hear the word of he exists. I saw he exists sitting upon his throne, and all the host of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. He exists said, Who will entice Ahab king ruler of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth-Gilead? And one spoke, saying, After this manner, and another saying, After that manner. Then there came out a breath, and stood before he exists, and said, I will entice him. And he exists said to him, Wherewith? He said, I will go out and be a lying breath in the mouth of all his speakers. And he exists said, You will entice him, and you will also prevail. Go out and do even so. Now therefore look, he exists has put a lying breath in the mouth of these your speakers, and he exists has spoken evil against you. Then Zedekiah the son of Chenaanah came near, and struck Micaiah upon the cheek, and said, Which travel path went the creative breath of he exists from me to speak to you? Micaiah said, Look, you will see on that day, when you will go into an inner chamber to hide yourself. Then the king ruler of Israel said, Take you Micaiah, and carry him back to Ammon the governor of the city, and to Joash the king ruler's son. Say, Thus says the king ruler, Put this fellow in the prison, and feed him with bread of affliction, and with water of affliction, until I return in peace. Micaiah said, If you certainly return in peace, then he exists has not spoken by me. And he said, Listen, all you people group. So the king ruler of Israel and Jehoshaphat the king ruler of Judah went up to Ramoth-Gilead. The king ruler of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself, and will go to the battle, but put you on your robes. So the king ruler of Israel disguised himself, and they went to the battle. Now the king ruler of Syria had commanded the captains of the chariots that were with him, saying, Fight you not with small or great, save only with the king ruler of Israel. It happened, when the captains of the chariots saw Jehoshaphat, that they said, It is the king ruler of Israel. Therefore they compassed about him to fight. But Jehoshaphat cried out, and he exists helped him, and the supreme authority, mighty creator, moved them to depart from him. It happened that when the captains of the chariots perceived that it was not the king ruler of Israel, they turned back again from pursuing him. A certain man drew a bow at a venture, and struck the king ruler of Israel between the joints of the harness. Therefore he said to his chariot man, Turn your hand, that you may carry me out of the host, because I am wounded. The battle increased that day. However, the king ruler of Israel stayed himself up in his chariot against the Syrians, until the even, and about the time of the sun going down he died. 2 Chronicles chapter 19. Jehoshaphat the king ruler of Judah returned to his house in peace to Jerusalem. Jehu the son of Hanani the seer went out to meet him, and said to king ruler Jehoshaphat, Should you help the wicked and love them that hate he exists? Therefore is wrath upon you from before he exists. Nevertheless there are good things found in you, because you have taken away the Asherim out of the land, and have prepared your inner thinking center to seek the supreme authority, mighty creator. Jehoshaphat dwelt at Jerusalem, and he went out again through the people group from Beersheba to Mount Ephraim, and brought them back to he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers. He set judges in the land throughout all the fenced cities of Judah, city by city. Said to the judges, Take heed what you do, because you judge not for man, but for he exists who is with you in the judgment. Therefore now let the fear of he exists be upon you. Take heed and do it, because there is no wrongdoing with he exists, our supreme authority, mighty creator, nor respect of persons, nor taking of gifts. Moreover, in Jerusalem did Jehoshaphat set of the Levites and of the serving leaders and of the chief of the fathers of Israel for the judgment of he exists and for controversies. When they returned to Jerusalem, he charged them, saying, Thus will you do in the fear of he exists faithfully, and with a complete inner thinking center, what cause soever will come to you of your brothers that dwell in their cities, between blood and blood, between instruction, law and command, set rules and fair judgments, you will even warn them, that they wrong step not against he exists, and so wrath come upon you and upon your brothers. This do, and you will not wrong step. Look, Amariah the chief serving leader is over you in all matters of he exists, and Zebadiah the son of Ishmael the ruler of the house of Judah for all the king rulers' matters. Also the Levites will be officers before you deal courageously, and he exists will be with the good. 2 Chronicles chapter 20. It happened after this also that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon, and with them other, beside the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle. Then there came some that told Jehoshaphat, saying, There comes a great multitude against you from beyond the sea on this side Syria, and look, they be in Hazazon-Tamar, which is in Gedi. Jehoshaphat feared and set himself to seek he exists, and proclaimed to fast throughout all Judah. Judah gathered themselves together to ask help of he exists. Even out of all the cities of Judah they came to seek he exists. Jehoshaphat stood in the assembly of Judah and Jerusalem in the house of he exists before the new court, said, O you exist, supreme authority, mighty creator of our fathers, are not you supreme authority, mighty creator in heaven, and rule not you over all the kingdom rules of the people, nations, and in your hand is there not power and might, so that none is able to withstand you? Are not you our supreme authority, mighty creator, who drove out the inhabitants of this land before your people group Israel, and gave it to the seed of Abraham your friend forever? They dwelt in it, and have built you a set apart place therein for your name, saying, If, when evil comes upon us as the sword, fair judgment, or pestilence, or famine, we stand before this house and in your presence, because your name is in this house, and cry to you in our affliction, then you will hear and help. Now look, the children of Ammon and Moab and Mount Seir, whom you would not let Israel invade when they came out of the land of Egypt, but they turned from them and destroyed them not. Look, I say, how they reward us to come to cast us out of your possession, which you have given us to inherit. O our supreme authority, mighty creator, will you not judge them? Because we have no might against this great company that comes against us, neither know we what to do, but our eyes are upon you. All Judah stood before he exists, with their little ones, their wives, and their children. Then upon Jahaziel the son of Zechariah, the son of Benaiah, the son of Jael, the son of Mattaniah, the Levite of the sons of Asaph, came the creative breath of he exists in the midst of the assembly. He said, Listen, you all Judah, and you inhabitants of Jerusalem, and you king ruler Jehoshaphat, thus says he exists. Do you be not afraid nor dismayed, because of this great multitude, because the battle is not yours, but the supreme authority, mighty creators. Tomorrow go you down against them. Look, they come up by the cliff of Ziz, and you will find them at the end of the brook before the wilderness of Jeru. You will not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand still, and see the rescue of he exists with you, O Judah and Jerusalem. Fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, because he exists will be with you. Jehoshaphat bowed his head with his face to the ground, and all Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem fell before he exists. Bowing down he exists. The Levites of the children of the Kohathites and the children of the Korhites stood up to give great honor with joy to he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, with a loud voice on high. They rose early in the morning and went forth into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went forth, Jehoshaphat stood and said, Hear me, O Judah, and you inhabitants of Jerusalem, believe in he exists, your supreme authority, mighty creator. So will you be established, believe his speakers, so will you prosper. When he had consulted with the people group, he appointed singers to he exists, and that should give great honor with joy in the beauty of set apartness, as they went out before the army, and to say, Give great honor with joy to he exists, because his trust loyalty endures forever. When they began to give great honor with joy, and to praise he exists, set ambushments against the children of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir, which had come against Judah, and they were struck. the children of Ammon and Moab stood up against the inhabitants of Mount Seir utterly to strike and destroy them, and when they had made an end of the inhabitants of Seir, everyone helped to destroy another. When Judah came toward the watchtower in the wilderness, they looked to the multitude, and look, they were dead bodies fallen to the land, and none escaped. When Jehoshaphat and his people group came to take away the spoil of them, they found among them in abundance both riches with the dead bodies, and precious jewels, which they stripped off for themselves more than they could carry away. And they were 3 days in gathering of the spoil, it was so much. On the 4th day they assembled themselves in the valley of Berachah, because there they gave great honor with joy to he exists there, for the name of the same place was called the valley of Berachah to this day. Then they returned every man of Judah and Jerusalem, and Jehoshaphat in the forefront of them, to go again to Jerusalem with joy, because he exists had made them to rejoice over their enemies. They came to Jerusalem with psalteries and harps and trumpets to the house of he exists. The fear of the supreme authority, mighty creator, was on all the kingdom rules of those countries, when they had heard that he exists fought against the enemies of Israel. So the kingdom rule of Jehoshaphat was quiet, because his supreme authority, mighty creator, gave him rest round about. Jehoshaphat reigned over Judah. He was 35 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 25 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Azubah, the daughter of Shilhi. He walked in the travel path of Asai his father, and departed not from it, doing that which was right in the eyes of he exists. However, the high places were not taken away, because as yet the people group had not prepared their inner thinking centers to the supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat, first and last, look, they are written in the book of Jehu the son of Hanani, who is mentioned in the book of the king rulers of Israel. After this did Jehoshaphat king ruler of Judah join himself with Ahaziah king ruler of Israel, who did very wickedly. He joined himself with him to make ships to go to Tarshish, and they made the ships in Ezion-Geber. Then Eliezer the son of Dodov of Mersha prophesied against Jehoshaphat, saying, because you have joined yourself with Ahaziah, he exists, has broken your works, and the ships were broken, that they were not able to go to Tarshish. 2 Chronicles chapter 21. Now Jehoshaphat slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And Jehoram his son reigned in his stead. He had brothers, the sons of Jehoshaphat, Azariah and Jehiel and Zechariah and Azariah and Michael and Shephatiah. All these were the sons of Jehoshaphat king ruler of Israel. Their father gave them great gifts of silver and of gold and of precious things with fenced cities in Judah. But the kingdom rule gave he to Jehoram, because he was the firstborn. Now when Jehoram was risen up to the kingdom rule of his father, he strengthened himself, and killed all his brothers with the sword, and also divers of the princes of Israel. Jehoram was 32 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. He walked in the travel path of the king rulers of Israel, like as did the house of Ahab, because he had the daughter of Ahab to wife. And he did that which was evil in the eyes of he exists. However, he exists would not destroy the house of David, because of the binding agreement that he had made with David, and as he promised to give a light to him and to his sons forever. In his days the Edomites revolted from under the dominion of Judah, and made themselves a king ruler. Then Jehoram went forth with his princes and all his chariots with him, and he rose up by night and struck the Edomites, which compassed him in, and the captains of the chariots. So the Edomites revolted from under the hand of Judah to this day. The same time also did Libnah revolt from under his hand, because he had forsaken he exists supreme authority, mighty creator of his fathers. Moreover, he made high places in the mountains of Judah, and caused the inhabitants of Jerusalem to commit fornication, and compelled Judah to it. There came a writing to him from Elijah the speaker, saying, thus says he exists supreme authority, mighty creator of David your father, because you have not walked in the travel paths of Jehoshaphat your father, nor in the travel paths of Asa king ruler of Judah, but have walked in the travel path of the king rulers of Israel, and have made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to go a-whoring like the whoredoms of the house of Ahab, and also have slain your brothers of your father's house, which were better than yourself. Look, with a great plague will he that exists strike your people group, and your children, and your wives, and all your goods. You will have great sickness, by disease of your bowels until your bowels fall out by reason of the sickness day by day. Moreover, he exists stirred up against Jehoram the breath of the Philistines and of the Arabians that were near the Ethiopians. They came up into Judah and broke into it and carried away all the substance that was found in the king ruler's house, and his sons also, and his wives, so that there was never a son left him except Jehoahaz the youngest of his sons. After all this he exists struck him in his bowels with an incurable disease. It happened that in process of time after the end of 2 years his bowels fell out by reason of his sickness, so he died of sore diseases, and his people group made no burning for him like the burning of his fathers. 32 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 8 years and departed without being desired. However, they buried him in the city of David, but not in the sepulchres of the king rulers. 2 Chronicles chapter 22. The inhabitants of Jerusalem made Ahaziah his youngest son king ruler in his stead, because the band of men that came with the Arabians to the camp had slain all the eldest. So Ahaziah the son of Jehoram king ruler of Judah reigned. 42 years old was Ahaziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Athaliah the daughter of Omri. He also walked in the traveled paths of the house of Ahab, because his mother was his counselor to do wickedly. Therefore he did evil in the eyes of he exists like the house of Ahab, because they were his counselors after the death of his father to his destruction. He walked also after their counsel, and went with Jehoram the son of Ahab king ruler of Israel to war against Hazael king ruler of Syria at Ramoth-Gilead, and the Syrians struck Joram. He returned to be healed in Jezreel because of the wounds which were given him at Ramah when he fought with Hazael king ruler of Syria. And Azariah the son of Jehoram king ruler of Judah went down to see Jehoram the son of Ahab at Jezreel because he was sick. The destruction of Ahaziah was of the supreme authority mighty creator by coming to Joram, because when he was come he went out with Jehoram against Jehu the son of Nimshi, whom he exists had anointed to cut off the house of Ahab. It happened that when Jehu was executing fair judgment upon the house of Ahab, and found the princes of Judah and the sons of the brothers of Ahaziah that ministered to Ahaziah, he killed them. He sought Ahaziah, and they caught him because he was hid in Samaria, and brought him to Jehu. And when they had killed him, they buried him, because said they, he is the son of Jehoshaphach, who sought he exists with all his inner thinking center. So the house of Ahaziah had no power to keep still the kingdom rule. But when Athaliah the mother of Ahaziah saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal of the house of Judah. But Jehoshaphach the daughter of the king ruler took Joash the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king ruler's sons that were slain, and put him and his nurse in a bedchamber. So Jehoshaphach the daughter of king ruler Jehoram, the wife of Jehoiada the serving leader, because she was the sister of Ahaziah, hid him from Athaliah, so that she did not kill him. He was with them hid in the house of the supreme authority mighty creator 6 years, and Athaliah reigned over the land. 2 Chronicles chapter 23. In the 7th year Jehoiada strengthened himself, and took the captains of hundreds, Azariah the son of Jeroham, and Ishmael the son of Jehohanan, and Azariah the son of Obed, and Maaseiah the son of Adiah, and Elishaphat the son of Zichri, into binding agreement with him. They went about in Judah, and gathered the Levites out of all the cities of Judah, and the chief of the fathers of Israel. And they came to Jerusalem. All the assembly made a binding agreement with the king ruler in the house of the supreme authority mighty creator. And he said to them, Look, the king ruler's son will reign as he exists, has said of the sons of David. This is the thing, that you will do a third part of you entering on the Sabbath of the serving leaders, and of the Levites will be porters of the doors. A third part will be at the king ruler's house, and a third part at the gate to the foundation, and all the people group will be in the courts of the house of he who exists. But let none come into the house of he who exists except the serving leaders, and they that minister of the Levites, they will go in because they are set apart. But all the people group will keep the watch if he exists. The Levites will compass the king ruler round about, every man with his weapons in his hand, and whoever else comes into the house he will be put to death. But be ye with the king ruler when he comes in, and when he goes out. So the Levites and all Judah did according to all things that Jehoiada the serving leader had commanded, and took every man his men that were to come in on the Sabbath with them that were to go out on the Sabbath, because Jehoiada the serving leader dismissed not the courses. Moreover, Jehoiada the serving leader delivered to the captains of hundreds spears and bucklers and shields that had been king ruler David's, which were in the house of the supreme authority mighty creator. He set all the people group, every man having his weapon in his hand, from the right side of the set-apart house to the left side of the set-apart house along by the altar, and the set-apart house by the king ruler round about. Then they brought out the king ruler's son and put upon him the crown and gave him the testimony and made him king ruler. And Jehoiada and his sons anointed him and said, Long live the king ruler. When Athaliah heard the noise of the people group running and praising the king ruler, she came to the people group into the house of He Who Exists. She looked, and look, the king ruler stood at his pillar at the entering in, and the princes and the trumpets by the king ruler, and all the people group of the land rejoiced and sounded with trumpets, also the singers with instruments of music, and such as taught to give great honor with joy. Then Athaliah rent her clothes and said, Treason, treason. Then Jehoiada the serving leader brought out the captains of hundreds that were set over the host, and said to them, Have her forth of the ranges, and whoever follows her let him be killed with the sword. Because the serving leader said, Do not slay her in the house of He Exists. So they laid hands on her, and when she was come to the entering of the horse gate by the king ruler's house, they killed her there. Jehoiada made a binding agreement between him and between all the people group, and between the king ruler, that they should be He Exists people group. All the people group went to the house of Baal and broke it down, and broke his altars and his images in pieces, and killed Mattan the serving leader of Baal before the altars. Also Jehoiada appointed the offices of the house of He Exists by the hand of the serving leaders, the Levites, whom David had distributed in the house of He Exists, to offer the burnt offerings of He Exists, as it is written in the instruction law of Moses, with rejoicing and with singing, as it was ordained by David. He set the porters at the gates of the house of He Exists, that none which was defiled in anything should enter in. He took the captains of hundreds, and the nobles, and the governors of the people group, and all the people group of the land, and brought down the king ruler from the house of He Who Exists, and they came through the high gate into the king ruler's house, and set the king ruler upon the throne of the kingdom rule. All the people group of the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet after that they had slain Athaliah with the sword. 2 Chronicles chapter 24. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Zibair of Beersheba. Joash did that which was right in the eyes of He Who Exists all the days of Jehoiada the serving leader. Jehoiada took for him 2 wives, and he begot sons and daughters. It happened after this that Joash was minded to repair the house of He Exists. He gathered together the serving leaders and the Levites, and said to them, Go out to the cities of Judah, and gather of all Israel money to repair the house of your supreme authority mighty creator from year to year, and see that you hasten the matter. However the Levites hastened it not. The king ruler called for Jehoiada the chief, and said to him, Why have you not required of the Levites to bring in out of Judah and out of Jerusalem the collection according to the command of Moses the servant worker of He Who Exists, and of the assembly of Israel for the tent of testimony? Because the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, had broken up the house of the supreme authority mighty creator, and also all the set-apart things of the house of He Exists did they bestow upon Balaam. At the king ruler's command they made a chest and set it outside at the gate of the house of He Exists. They made a proclamation through Judah and Jerusalem to bring in to He Exists the collection that Moses the servant worker of the supreme authority mighty creator laid upon Israel in the wilderness. All the princes and all the people group rejoiced, and brought in and cast into the chest until they had made an end. It happened that at what time the chest was brought to the king ruler's office by the hand of the Levites, and when they saw that there was much money, the king ruler's scribe and the high serving leader's officer came and emptied the chest, and took it and carried it to his place again. Thus they did day by day, and gathered money in abundance. The king ruler and Jehoiada gave it to such as did the work of the service of the house of He Exists, and hired masons and carpenters to repair the house of He Exists, and also such as worked iron and bronze to mend the house of He Exists. So the workmen worked, and the work was perfected by them. And they set the house of the supreme authority mighty creator in his state, and strengthened it. When they had finished it, they brought the rest of the money before the king ruler and Jehoiada, whereof were made vessels for the house of he exists, even vessels to minister and to offer withal, and spoons and vessels of gold and silver, and they offered burnt offerings in the house of he exists continually all the days of Jehoiada. Jehoiada waxed old and was full of days when he died. 130 years old was he when he died. They buried him in the city of David among the king rulers, because he had done good in Israel, both toward the supreme authority, mighty creator, and toward his house. Now after the death of Jehoiada came the princes of Judah, and made obeisance to the king ruler. Then the king ruler listened to them. They left the house of he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers, and served Asherim and idols, and wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for this their wrong step. Yet he sent speakers to them to bring them again to he exists, and they testified against them, but they would not give ear. The creative breath of the supreme authority, mighty creator, came upon Zechariah the son of Jehoiada, the serving leader, which stood above the people group, and said to them, Thus says the supreme authority, mighty creator, why transgress you the commands of he who exists, that you cannot prosper, because you have forsaken he who exists, he has also forsaken you. They conspired against him, and stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king ruler in the court of the house of he who exists. Thus Joash the king ruler remembered not the trust loyalty which Jehoiada his father had done to him, but killed his son, and when he died he said, He exists, look upon it and require it. It happened at the end of the year that the host of Syria came up against him, and they came to Judah and Jerusalem, and destroyed all the princes of the people group from among the people group, and sent all the spoil of them to the king ruler of Damascus. The army of the Syrians came with a small company of men, and he exists delivered a very great host into their hand, because they had forsaken he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers. So they executed fair judgment against Joash. When they were departed from him, because they left him in great diseases, his own servant workers conspired against him for the blood of the sons of Jehoiada the serving leader, and killed him on his bed, and he died. And they buried him in the city of David, but they buried him not in the sepulchres of the king rulers. These are they that conspired against him: Zebad the son of Shimeth an Ammonitess, and Jehozabad the son of Shimrith a Moabitess. Now concerning his sons, and the greatness of the burdens laid upon him, and the repairing of the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, look, they are written in the story of the book of the king rulers. And Amaziah his son reigned in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 25. Amaziah was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Jehoaddan of Jerusalem. He did that which was right in the eyes of he exists, but not with a complete inner thinking center. Now it happened, when the kingdom rule was established to him, that he killed his servant workers that had killed the king ruler his father. But he killed not their children, but did as it is written in the instruction law in the book of Moses, where he exists commanded, saying, The fathers will not die for the children, neither will the children die for the fathers, but every man will die for his own wrong. Moreover, Amaziah gathered Judah together, and made them captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, according to the houses of their fathers throughout all Judah and Benjamin. And he numbered them from 20 years old and above, and found them 300,000 choice men able to go forth to war, that could handle spear and shield. He hired also 100,000 mighty men of valor out of Israel, for 100 talents of silver. But there came a man of the supreme authority, mighty creator, to him, saying, O king ruler, let not the army of Israel go with you, because he exists is not with Israel, to wit, with all the children of Ephraim. But if you will go, do it, be strong for the battle. The supreme authority, mighty creator, will make you fall before the enemy, because the supreme authority, mighty creator, has power to help and to cast down. Amaziah said to the man of the supreme authority, mighty creator, But what will we do for the 100 talents, which I have given to the army of Israel? And the man of the supreme authority, mighty creator, answered, He exists is able to give you much more than this. Then Amaziah separated them, to wit, the army that was come to him out of Ephraim, to go home again. Therefore their anger was greatly kindled against Judah, and they returned home in great anger. Amaziah strengthened himself, and led forth his people group, and went to the valley of Salt, and struck the children of Ser 10,000. Other 10,000 left alive did the children of Judah carry away captive, and brought them to the top of the rock, and cast them down from the top of the rock, that they were all broken in pieces. But the soldiers of the army, which Amaziah sent back that they should not go with him to battle, fell upon the cities of Judah from Samaria even to Beth-horon, and struck 3,000 of them, and took much spoil. Now it happened after that Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites, that he brought the supreme authorities of the children of Seir, and set them up to be his supreme authorities, and bowed down himself before them, and burned incense to them. Therefore the anger of he exists was kindled against Amaziah, and he sent to him a speaker, which said to him, Why have you sought after the supreme authorities of the people group, which could not deliver their own people group out of your hand? It happened as he talked with him, that the king ruler said to him, Are you made of the king ruler's counsel? Forbear. Why should you be struck? Then the speaker forbore, and said, I know that the supreme authority, mighty creator, has determined to destroy you, because you have done this, and have not listened to my counsel. Then Amaziah, king ruler of Judah, took advice, and sent to Joash the son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, king ruler of Israel, saying, Come, let us see one another in the face. Joash, king ruler of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king ruler of Judah, saying, The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, Give your daughter to my son to wife. And there passed by a wild beast that was in Lebanon, and trod down the thistle. You say, Look, you have struck the Edomites, and your inner thinking center lifts you up to boast. Abide now at home. Why should you meddle to your hurt, that you should fall, even you, and Judah with you? But Amaziah would not hear, because it came of the supreme authority, mighty creator, that he might deliver them into the hand of their enemies, because they sought after the supreme authorities of Edom. So Joash, king ruler of Israel, went up, and they saw one another in the face, both he and Amaziah, king ruler of Judah, at Bethshemesh, which belongs to Judah. Judah was put to the worse before Israel, and they fled every man to his tent. Joash, king ruler of Israel, took Amaziah, king ruler of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, at Bethshemesh, and brought him to Jerusalem, and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate 400 cubits. He took all the gold and the silver and all the vessels that were found in the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, with Obededom, and the treasures of the king ruler's house, the hostages also, and returned to Samaria. Amaziah, the son of Joash, king ruler of Judah, lived after the death of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king ruler of Israel, 15 years. Now the rest of the acts of Amaziah, first and last, look, are they not written in the book of the king rulers of Judah and Israel? Now after the time that Amaziah did turn away from following he exists, they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent to Lachish after him, and killed him there. They brought him upon horses, and buried him with his fathers in the city of Judah. 2 Chronicles chapter 26. Then all the people group of Judah took Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king ruler in the room of his father Amaziah. He built a loft and restored it to Judah after that the king ruler slept with his fathers. 16 years old was Uzziah when he began to reign, and he reigned 50, and 2 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Jechaliah of Jerusalem. He did that which was right in the eyes of he exists, according to all that his father Amaziah did. He sought the supreme authority, mighty creator, in the days of Zechariah, who had understanding in the visions of the supreme authority, mighty creator. And as long as he sought he exists, the supreme authority, mighty creator, made him to prosper. He went forth and warred against the Philistines, and broke down the wall of Gath, and the wall of Jabneh, and the wall of Ashdod, and built cities about Ashdod and among the Philistines. The supreme authority, mighty creator, helped him against the Philistines, and against the Arabians that dwelt in Gerbal and the Mehunims. The Ammonites gave gifts to Uzziah, and his name spread abroad, even to the entering in of Egypt, because he strengthened himself exceedingly. Moreover, Uzziah built towers in Jerusalem at the corner gate, and at the valley gate, and at the turning of the wall, and fortified them. Also he built towers in the desert, and dug many wells, because he had much cattle both in the low country, and in the plains, husbandmen also, and vinedressers in the mountains, and in Carmel, because he loved husbandry. Moreover, Uzziah had an army of fighting men that went out to war by bands according to the number of their account, by the hand of Jael the scribe, and Maaseiah the ruler under the hand of Hananiah, one of the king ruler's captains. The whole number of the chief of the fathers of the mighty men of valor were 2,600. Under their hand was an army 300,000 and 7,500 that made war with mighty power, to help the king ruler against the enemy. Uzziah prepared for them throughout all the host shields and spears and helmets and habergeons and bows and slings to cast stones. He made in Jerusalem engines invented by skillful men to be on the towers and upon the bulwarks, to shoot arrows and great stones withal. And his name spread far abroad, because he was marvelously helped till he was strong. But when he was strong, his inner thinking center was lifted up to his destruction, because he transgressed against he exists, his supreme authority, mighty creator, and went into the set-apart house of he exists, to burn incense upon the altar of incense. Azariah the serving leader went in after him, and with him 80 serving leaders of he exists, that were valiant men. They withstood Uzziah the king ruler, and said to him, It pertains not to you, Uzziah, to burn incense to he exists, but to the serving leaders, the sons of Aaron, that are consecrated to burn incense. Go out of the set-apart place, because you have trespassed, neither will it be for your honor, from he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator. Then Uzziah was wroth, and had a censer in his hand to burn incense, and while he was wroth with the serving leaders, the defilement even rose up in his forehead before the serving leaders in the house of he exists, from beside the incense altar. Azariah the chief serving leader, and all the serving leaders looked upon him, and look, he was defiled in his forehead. And they thrust him out from there. Yes, himself hastened also to go out, because he exists had struck him. Uzziah the king ruler was defiled to the day of his death, and dwelt in a several house, being defiled, because he was cut off from the house of he exists. And Jotham his son was over the king ruler's house, judging the people group of the land. Now the rest of the acts of Uzziah, first and last, did Isaiah the speaker, the son of Amoz, write. So Uzziah slept with his fathers, and they buried him with his fathers in the field of the burial which belonged to the king rulers, because they said, He is defiled. And Jotham his son reigned in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 27. Jotham was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Jerusha, the daughter of Zadok. He did that which was right in the eyes of he exists, according to all that his father Uzziah did. However, he entered not into the set-apart house of he exists, and the people group did yet corruptly. He built the high gate of the house of he exists, and on the wall of Ophel he built much. Moreover, he built cities in the mountains of Judah, and in the forests he built castles and towers. He fought also with the king ruler of the Ammonites, and prevailed against them. And the children of Ammon gave him the same year 100 talents of silver, and 10,000 measures of wheat, and 10,000 of barley. So much did the children of Ammon pay to him both the second year and the third. So Jotham became mighty, because he prepared his travel paths before he exists, his supreme authority, mighty creator. Now the rest of the acts of Jotham, and all his wars and his travel paths, look, they are written in the book of the king rulers of Israel and Judah. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. Jotham slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Ahaz his son reigned in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 28. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. But he did not that which was right in the eyes of he exists, like David his father, because he walked in the travel paths of the king rulers of Israel, and made also molten images for Baalim. Moreover, he burnt incense in the valley of the son of Hinnom, and burnt his children in the fire, after the detestable things of the people nations whom he exists had cast out before the children of Israel. He sacrificed also and burnt incense in the high places, and on the hills, and under every green tree. Therefore he exists, his supreme authority, mighty creator, delivered him into the hand of the king ruler of Syria. And they struck him, and carried away a great multitude of them captives, and brought them to Damascus. And he was also delivered into the hand of the king ruler of Israel, who struck him with a great slaughter. Pekah the son of Remaliah killed in Judah 120,000 in one day, which were all valiant men, because they had forsaken he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers. Zechariah, mighty man of Ephraim, killed Maaseiah the king ruler's son, and Azrikam the governor of the house, and Elkanah that was next to the king ruler. The children of Israel carried away captive of their brothers 200,000 women, sons and daughters, and took also away much spoil from them, and brought the spoil to Samaria. But a speaker of he exists was there, whose name was Oded, and he went out before the host that came to Samaria, and said to them, Look, because he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of your fathers, was angry with Judah, he has delivered them into your hand, and you have slain them in a rage that reaches up to heaven. Now you purpose to keep unto the children of Judah and Jerusalem for bondmen and bondwomen to you. But are there not with you, even with you, wrongs against he exists, your supreme authority, mighty creator? Now hear me therefore, and deliver the captives again, which you have taken captive of your brothers, because the fierce wrath of he exists is upon you. Then certain of the heads of the children of Ephraim, Azariah the son of Johanan, Berechiah the son of Meshillemoth, Jehiskiah the son of Shallum, and Amasa the son of Hadlai stood up against them that came from the war, said to them, You will not bring in the captives here, because whereas we have offended against he exists, already you intend to add more to our wrongs and to our wrong step, because our wrong step is great, and there is fierce wrath against Israel. So the armed men left the captives and the spoil before the princes and all the assembly. The men which were expressed by name rose up, and took the captives, and with the spoil clothed all that were naked among them, and arrayed them, and shod them, and gave them to eat and to drink, and anointed them, and carried all the feeble of them upon asses, and brought them to Jericho, the city of palm trees, to their brothers. Then they returned to Samaria. At that time did King ruler Ahaz send to the king rulers of Assyria to help him, because again the Edomites had come and struck Judah and carried away captives. The Philistines also had invaded the cities of the low country and of the south of Judah, and had taken Bethshemesh and Ajalon, and Gederoth and Shocho with the villages thereof, and Timnah with the villages thereof, Gimzo also and the villages thereof, and they dwelt there. Because he exists brought Judah low, because of Ahaz king ruler of Israel, because he made Judah naked and transgressed sore against he exists. Tiglath-Pileser king ruler of Assyria came to him and distressed him, but strengthened him not. Because Ahaz took away a portion out of the house of he exists, and out of the house of the king ruler and of the princes, and gave it to the king ruler of Assyria, but he helped him not. In the time of his distress did he wrong step yet more against he exists. This is that king ruler Ahaz, because he sacrificed to the supreme authorities of Damascus, which struck him, and he said, Because the supreme authorities of the king rulers of Syria help them, therefore will I sacrifice to them, that they may help me. But they were the ruin of him and of all Israel. Ahaz gathered together the vessels of the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, and cut in pieces the vessels of the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, and shut up the doors of the house of he exists, and he made him altars in every corner of Jerusalem. In every several city of Judah he made high places to burn incense to other supreme authorities, and provoke to anger he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of his fathers. Now the rest of his acts and of all his travel paths, first and last, look, they are written in the book of the king rulers of Judah and Israel. Ahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city, even in Jerusalem. But they brought him not into the sepulchres of the king rulers of Israel, and Hezekiah his son reigned in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 29. Hezekiah began to reign when he was 25 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Abijah, the daughter of Zechariah. He did that which was right in the eyes of he exists, according to all that David his father had done. He in the first year of his reign, in the first month, opened the doors of the house of he exists, and repaired them. He brought in the serving leaders and the Levites, and gathered them together into the east street, said to them, Hear me, you Levites, now set apart yourselves, and set apart the house of he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of your fathers, and carry forth the defilement out of the set apart place, because our fathers have trespassed and done that which was evil in the eyes of he exists, our supreme authority, mighty creator, and have forsaken him, and have turned away their faces from the dwelling place of he exists, and turned their backs. Also they have shut up the doors of the porch, and put out the lamps, and have not burnt incense nor offered burnt offerings in the set apart place to the supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel. Therefore the wrath of he exists was upon Judah and Jerusalem, and he has delivered them to trouble, to astonishment, and to hissing, as you see with your eyes, because because look, our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and our daughters and our wives are in captivity for this. Now it is in my inner thinking center to make a binding agreement with the exists supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, that his fierce wrath may turn away from us. My sons, be not now negligent, because he exists has chosen you to stand before him to serve him, and that you should minister to him and burn incense. Then the Levites arose, Mahath the son of Amasai, and Joel the son of Azariah, of the sons of the Kohathites, and of the sons of Merari, Kish the son of Abdi, and Azariah the son of Jehalel, and of the Gershonites Joe the son of Zimmah, and Eden the son of Joe. Of the sons of Elizaphan Shimri and Jael, and of the sons of Asaph Zechariah and Mattaniah. Of the sons of Heman Jehiel and Shimei, and of the sons of Jeduthun Shemaiah and Uzziel. They gathered their brothers and set apart themselves, and came according to the commandment of the king ruler by the words of he exists, to cleanse the house of he exists. The serving leaders went into the inner part of the house of he exists, to cleanse it, and brought out all the defilement that they found in the set apart house of he exists into the court of the house of he exists, and the Levites took it to carry it out abroad into the brook Kidron. Now they began on the first day of the first month to set apart, and on the 8th day of the month came they to the porch of he exists. So they set apart the house of he exists in 8 days, and in the 16th day of the first month they made an end. Then they went into Hezekiah the king ruler and said, We have cleansed all the house of he exists, and the altar of burnt offering with all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread with all the vessels thereof. Moreover, all the vessels which king ruler Ahaz in his reign did cast away in his rebellious wrong have we prepared, and set apart, and look there before the altar of he exists. Then Hezekiah the king ruler rose early, and gathered the rulers of the city, and went up to the house of he exists. They brought 7 bullocks, and 7 rams, and 7 lambs, and 7 he-goats for a wrong offering for the kingdom rule, and for the set-apart place, and for Judah. And he commanded the serving leaders, the sons of Aaron, to offer them on the altar of he exists. So they killed the bullocks, and the serving leaders received the blood, and sprinkled it on the altar likewise. When they had killed the rams, they sprinkled the blood upon the altar. They killed also the lambs, and they sprinkled the blood upon the altar. They brought forth the he-goats for the wrong offering before the king ruler and the congregation, and they laid their hands upon them. The serving leaders killed them, and they made reconciliation with their blood upon the altar to make an atonement for all Israel, because the king ruler commanded that the burnt offering and the wrong offering should be made for all Israel. He set the Levites in the house of he exists with cymbals, with psalteries, and with harps, according to the commandment of David and of Gad the king ruler, seer, and Nathan the speaker, because so was the commandment of he exists by his speakers. The Levites stood with the instruments of David, and the serving leaders with the trumpets. Hezekiah commanded to offer the burnt offering upon the altar, and when the burnt offering began, the psalm of he exists began also with the trumpets and with the instruments ordained by David king ruler of Israel. All the congregation bowed down, and the singers sang, and the trumpeters sounded, and all this continued until the burnt offering was finished. When they had made an end of offering, the king ruler and all that were present with him bowed themselves and bowed down. Moreover, Hezekiah the king ruler and the princes commanded the Levites to give great honor with joy to he exists with the words of David and of Asaph the seer, and they sang praises with gladness, and they bowed their heads and bowed down. Then Hezekiah answered and said, Now you have consecrated yourselves to he exists. Come near, and bring sacrifices and thanksgiving offerings into the house of he exists. And the congregation brought in sacrifices and thanksgiving offerings, and as many as were of a willing inner thinking center burnt offerings. The number of the burnt offerings which the congregation brought was 70 bullocks, 100 rams, and 200 lambs. All these were for a burnt offering to he exists. The consecrated things were 600 oxen and 3,000 sheep. But the serving leaders were too few, so that they could not flay all the burnt offerings. Therefore their brothers the Levites did help them till the work was ended, and until the other serving leaders had set apart themselves, because the Levites were more upright in inner thinking center to set apart themselves than the serving leaders. Also the burnt offerings were in abundance with the fat of the peace offerings, and the drink offerings for every burnt offering. So the service of the house of he exists was set in order. Hezekiah rejoiced, and all the people group that the supreme authority mighty creator had prepared the people group, because the thing was done suddenly. 2 Chronicles chapter 30. Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah and wrote letters, also to Ephraim and Manasseh, that they should come to the house of He Exists at Jerusalem to keep the Pesach, to He Exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator of Israel, because the king ruler had taken counsel and his princes and all the congregation in Jerusalem to keep the Pesach in the 2nd month, because they could not keep it at that time, because the serving leaders had not set apart themselves sufficiently, neither had the people group gathered themselves together to Jerusalem. The thing pleased the king ruler and all the congregation, so they established a decree to make proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to keep the Pesach, to He Exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator of Israel, at Jerusalem, because they had not done it of a long time in such sort as it was written. So the posts went with the letters from the king ruler and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, and according to the commandment of the king ruler, saying, You children of Israel, turn again to He Exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and He will return to the remnant of you that are escaped out of the hand of the king rulers of Assyria. Do not be you like your fathers and like your brothers, which trespassed against He Exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator of their fathers, who therefore gave them up to desolation, as you see. Now be not stiff-necked as your fathers were, but yield yourselves to He Exists, and enter into His set-apart place, which He has set apart forever, and serve He Exists, your supreme authority, mighty Creator, that the fierceness of His wrath may turn away from you, because if you turn again to He Exists, your brothers and your children will find compassion before them that lead them captive, so that they will come again into this land, because He Exists, your supreme authority, mighty Creator, is gracious and merciful, and will not turn away His face from you if you return to Him. So the posts passed from city to city through the country of Ephraim and Manasseh, even to Zebulun, but they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. Nevertheless divers of Asher and Manasseh and of Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. Also in Judah the hand of the supreme authority, mighty Creator, was to give them one inner thinking center, to do the commandment of the king ruler and of the princes. By the word of He Exists, there assembled at Jerusalem much people group to keep the feast of unleavened bread. In the 2nd month a very great congregation. They arose and took away the altars that were in Jerusalem, and all the altars for incense took they away, and cast them into the brook Kidron. Then they killed the Pesach on the 14th day of the 2nd month. And the serving leaders and the Levites were shamed, and set apart themselves, and brought in the burnt offerings into the house of He Exists. They stood in their place after their manner, according to the instruction law of Moses, the man of the supreme authority, mighty Creator. The serving leaders sprinkled the blood, which they received of the hand of the Levites, because there were many in the congregation that were not set apart. Therefore the Levites had the charge of the killing of the Pesach for everyone that was not clean, to set apart them to He Exists, because the multitude of the people group, even many of Ephraim and Manasseh, Issachar, and Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves, yet did they eat the Pesach otherwise than it was written. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, The good He Exists pardon everyone that prepares his inner thinking center to seek the supreme authority, mighty Creator. He Exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator of his fathers, though he be not cleansed according to the purification of the set-apart place. He Exists listened to Hezekiah and healed the people group. The children of Israel that were present at Jerusalem kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with great gladness, and the Levites and the serving leaders gave great honor with joy to He Exists day by day, singing with loud instruments to He Exists. Hezekiah spoke comfortably to all the Levites that taught the good knowledge of He Exists, and they did eat throughout the feast 7 days, offering peace offerings and making confession to He Exists, supreme authority, mighty Creator of their fathers. The whole assembly took counsel to keep other 7 days, and they kept other 7 days with gladness, because Hezekiah king ruler of Judah did give to the congregation 1,000 bullocks and 7,000 sheep, and the princes gave to the congregation 1,000 bullocks and 10,000 sheep, and a great number of serving leaders set apart themselves. All the congregation of Judah with the serving leaders and the Levites, and all the congregation that came out of Israel, and the strangers that came out of the land of Israel and that dwelt in Judah rejoiced. So there was great joy in Jerusalem, because since the time of Solomon the son of David king ruler of Israel there was not the like in Jerusalem. Then the serving leaders the Levites arose and blessed the people group, and their voice was heard, and their prayer came up to his set-apart dwelling place even to heaven. 2 Chronicles chapter 31. Now when all this was finished, all Israel that were present went out to the cities of Judah and broke the pillars in pieces and cut down the Asherim, and threw down the high places, and the altars out of all Judah and Benjamin and Ephraim also, and Manasseh, until they had utterly destroyed them all. Then all the children of Israel returned every man to his possession into their own cities. Hezekiah appointed the courses of the serving leaders and the Levites, after their courses, every man according to his service, the serving leaders and Levites, for burnt offerings and for peace offerings, to minister and to give thanks and to give great honor with joy in the gates of the tents of he exists. He appointed also the king ruler's portion of his substance for the burnt offerings, to wit, for the morning and evening burnt offerings, and the burnt offerings, for the Sabbaths and for the new moons and for the set feasts, as it is written in the instruction law of he exists. Moreover he commanded the people group that dwelt in Jerusalem to give the portion of the serving leaders and the Levites, that they might be encouraged in the instruction law of he exists. As soon as the commandment came abroad, the children of Israel brought in abundance the first fruits of corn, wine, oil, and honey, and of all the increase of the field, and the tithe of all things brought they in abundantly. The children of Israel and Judah that dwelt in the cities of Judah brought in the tithe of oxen and sheep, and the tithe of set-apart things, which were consecrated to he exists, their supreme authority, mighty creator, and laid them by heaps. In the 3rd month they began to lay the foundation of the heaps, and finished them in the 7th month. When Hezekiah and the princes came and saw the heaps, they blessed he exists and his people group Israel. Then Hezekiah questioned with the serving leaders and the Levites concerning the heaps. Azariah, the chief serving leader of the house of Zadok, answered him and said, Since the people began to bring the offerings into the house of he exists, we have had enough to eat, and have left plenty, because he exists has blessed his people group, and that which is left is this great store. Then Hezekiah commanded to prepare chambers in the house of he exists, and they prepared them. They brought in the offerings, and the tithes, and the set-apart things faithfully over, which Cononiah the Levite was ruler, and Shimei his brother was the next, Jehiel and Azaziah and Nahath and Asahel and Jeremoth, and Jozabad and Deliel and Ismisha and Mahath and Benaiah were overseers under the hand of Cononiah and Shimei his brother at the commandment of Hezekiah the king ruler, and Azariah the ruler of the house of a supreme authority, mighty creator. Kor the son of Imnah the Levite, the porter toward the east, was over the freewill offerings of the supreme authority, mighty creator, to distribute the offerings of he exists, and the most set-apart things. Next him were Eden and Miniamin and Jeshua and Shemiah, Amariah and Shechaniah, in the cities of the serving leaders in their set office to give to their brothers, by courses as well to the great as to the small, besides their genealogy of males, from 3 years old and upward, even to everyone that enters into the house of he exists, his daily portion for their service and their charges according to their courses, both to the genealogy of the serving leaders, by the house of their fathers, and the Levites from 20 years old and upward in their charges by their courses, to the genealogy of all their little ones, their wives and their sons and their daughters, through all the congregation, because in their set office they set apart themselves in set apartness. Also of the sons of Aaron the serving leaders, which were in the fields of the suburbs of their cities, in every several city, the men that were expressed by name, to give portions to all the males among the serving leaders, and to all that were reckoned by genealogies among the Levites. Thus did Hezekiah throughout all Judah, and worked that which was good and right and truth before he exists, his supreme authority, mighty creator, in every work that he began in the service of the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, and in the instruction law and in the commands to seek his supreme authority, mighty creator, he did it with all his inner thinking center, and prospered. 2 Chronicles chapter 32. After these things and the establishment thereof, Sennacherib king ruler of Assyria came, and entered into Judah and encamped against the fenced cities and thought to win them for himself. When Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib was come and that he was purposed to fight against Jerusalem, he took counsel with his princes and his mighty men to stop the waters of the fountains, which were outside the city, and they helped him. So there was gathered much people grouped together, who stopped all the fountains and the brook that ran through the midst of the land, saying, Why should the king rulers of Assyria come and find much water? Also he strengthened himself and built up all the wall that was broken and raised it up to the towers, and another wall outside, and repaired Millo in the city of David, and made darts and shields in abundance. He set captains of war over the people group and gathered them together to him in the street of the gate of the city, and spoke comfortably to them, saying, Be strong and courageous, do not be afraid nor dismayed for the king ruler of Assyria, nor for all the multitude that is with him, because there be more with us than with him. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is he exists, our supreme authority, mighty creator, to help us, and to fight our battles. And the people group rested themselves upon the words of Hezekiah king ruler of Judah. After this did Sennacherib king ruler of Assyria send his servant workers to Jerusalem, but he himself laid siege against Lachish and all his power with him to Hezekiah king ruler of Judah and to all Judah that were at Jerusalem, saying, Thus says Sennacherib king ruler of Assyria, Whereon do you trust that you abide in the siege in Jerusalem? Doth not Hezekiah persuade you to give over yourselves to die by famine and by thirst, saying, He exists, our supreme authority, mighty creator, will deliver us out of the hand of the king ruler of Assyria? Has not the same Hezekiah taken away his high places and his altars, and commanded Judah and Jerusalem, saying, You will bow down before one altar and burn incense upon it? Know you not what I and my fathers have done to all the people nations of other lands? Were the supreme authorities of the people nations of those lands anyways able to deliver their lands out of my hand? Who is there among all the supreme authorities of those nations that my fathers utterly destroyed that could deliver his people group out of my hand, that your supreme authority, mighty creator, should be able to deliver you out of my hand? Now therefore let not Hezekiah deceive you nor persuade you on this manner, neither yet believe him, because no supreme authority of any nation or kingdom rule was able to deliver his people group out of my hand, and out of the hand of my fathers. How much less will your supreme authority, mighty creator, deliver you out of my hand? His servant workers spoke yet more against he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator, and against his servant worker Hezekiah. He wrote also letters to rail on he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, and to speak against him, saying, As the supreme authorities of the nations of other lands have not delivered their people group out of my hand, so will not the supreme authority, mighty creator of Hezekiah, deliver his people group out of my hand. Then they cried with a loud voice in the Jews' speech to the people group of Jerusalem that were on the wall, to affright them and to trouble them, that they might take the city. They spoke against the supreme authority, mighty creator of Jerusalem, as against the supreme authorities of the people nations of the land, which were the work of the hands of man. For this cause Hezekiah the king ruler and the speaker Isaiah the son of Amoz prayed and cried to heaven. He exists sent a messenger, which cut off all the mighty men of valor and the leaders and captains in the camp of the king ruler of Assyria. So he returned with shame of face to his own land, and when he was come into the house of his supreme authority, they that came forth of his own bowels killed him there with the sword. Thus he who exists saved Hezekiah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem from the hand of Sennacherib the king ruler of Assyria, and from the hand of all others, and guided them on every side. Many brought gifts to he exists to Jerusalem, and presents to Hezekiah king ruler of Judah, so that he was magnified in the sight of all nations from that time onward. In those days Hezekiah was sick to the death, and prayed to he that exists, and he spoke to him, and he gave him a sign. But Hezekiah rendered not again according to the benefit done to him, because his inner thinking center was lifted up, therefore there was wrath upon him, and upon Judah and Jerusalem. Notwithstanding Hezekiah humbled himself, for the pride of his inner thinking center, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of he exists came not upon them in the days of Hezekiah. Hezekiah had exceeding much riches and honor, and he made himself treasuries for silver and for gold and for precious stones and for spices and for shields and for all manner of pleasant jewels, storehouses also for the increase of corn and wine and oil, and stalls for all manner of beasts and coats for flocks. Moreover he provided him cities and possessions of flocks and herds in abundance, because the supreme authority mighty Creator had given him substance very much. This same Hezekiah also stopped the upper watercourse of Gihon, and brought it straight down to the west side of the city of David. And Hezekiah prospered in all his works. However, in the business of the ambassadors of the princes of Babylon who sent to him to inquire of the wonder that was done in the land, the supreme authority mighty Creator left him to try him, that he might know all that was in his inner thinking center. Now the rest of the acts of Hezekiah and his goodness, look, they are written in the vision of Isaiah the speaker, the son of Amoz, and in the book of the king rulers of Judah and Israel. Hezekiah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the chief of the sepulchres of the sons of David, and all Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem did him honor at his death, and Manasseh his son reigned in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 33. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem, but did that which was evil in the eyes of he exists, like the detestable things of the people nations whom he exists had cast out before the children of Israel, because he built again the high places which Hezekiah his father had broken down, and he reared up altars for Baalim, and made Asherim, and bowed down all the host of heaven, and served them. Also he built altars in the house of he exists, whereof he exists had said, In Jerusalem will my name be forever. He built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of he exists. He caused his children to pass through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom. Also he observed times, and used enchantments, and used witchcraft, and dealt with a familiar, and with wizards. He worked much evil in the sight of he exists, to provoke him to anger. He set a carved image, the idol, which he had made in the house of the supreme authority mighty Creator, of which the supreme authority mighty Creator had said to David and to Solomon his son, In this house, and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen before all the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. Neither will I any more remove the foot of Israel from out of the land which I have appointed for your fathers, so that they will take heed to do all that I have commanded them according to the whole instruction law, and the set rules and the fair judgments by the hand of Moses. So Manasseh made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to err and to do worse than the people nations, whom he exists had destroyed before the children of Israel. He exists spoke to Manasseh and to his people group, but they would not listen. Therefore he exists brought upon them the captains of the host of the king ruler of Assyria, which took Manasseh among the thorns, and bound him with fetters, and carried him to Babylon. When he was in affliction, he besought he exists his supreme authority mighty Creator, and humbled himself greatly before the supreme authority mighty Creator of his fathers, prayed to him, and he was entreated of him, and heard his supplication, and brought him again to Jerusalem and to his kingdom rule. Then Manasseh knew that he exists, he was the supreme authority mighty Creator. Now after this he built a wall outside the city of David on the west side of Gihon in the valley, even to the entering in at the fish gate, and compassed about Ophel, and raised it up a very great height, and put captains of war in all the fenced cities of Judah. He took away the strange supreme authorities and the idol out of the house of he exists, and all the altars that he had built in the mount of the house of he exists, and in Jerusalem, and cast them out of the city. He repaired the altar of he exists, and sacrificed thereon peace offerings and thank offerings, and commanded Judah to serve he exists supreme authority mighty Creator of Israel. Nevertheless the people group did sacrifice still in the high places, yet to he exists their supreme authority mighty Creator only. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and his prayer to his supreme authority mighty Creator, and the words of the seers that spoke to him in the name of he exists supreme authority mighty Creator of Israel, look, they are written in the book of the king rulers of Israel. His prayer also, and how the supreme authority mighty Creator was entreated of him, and all his wrong step, and the places wherein he built high places, and set up Asherim and graven images before he was humbled, look, they are written among the sayings of the seers. So Manasseh slept with his fathers, and they buried him in his own house, and Amon his son reigned in his stead. Amon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. But he did that which was evil in the sight of he exists, as did Manasseh his father. because Ammon sacrificed to all the carved images, which Manasseh his father had made and served them, humbled not himself before he exists as Manasseh his father had humbled himself. But Ammon trespassed more and more. His servant workers conspired against him and killed him in his own house. But the people group of the land killed all them that had conspired against king ruler Ammon, and the people group of the land made Josiah his son king ruler in his stead. 2 Chronicles chapter 34. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. He did that which was right in the sight of he exists, and walked in the travel paths of David his father, and inclined neither to the right hand nor to the left. In the 8th year of his reign, while he was yet young, he began to seek after the supreme authority, mighty creator of David his father. And in the 12th year he began to purge Judah and Jerusalem from the high places and the Asherim, and the carved images and the molten images. They broke down the altars of Baalim in his presence, and the images that were on high above them he cut down, and the Asherim, and the carved images and the molten images he broke in pieces, and made dust of them, and strewed it upon the graves of them that had sacrificed to them. He burnt the bones of the serving leaders upon their altars, and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem. So did he in the cities of Manasseh and Ephraim and Simon, even to Naphtali with their mattocks round about, when he had broken down the altars and the Asherim, and had beaten the graven images into powder, and cut down all the images throughout all the land of Israel. He returned to Jerusalem. Now in the 18th year of his reign, when he had purged the land and the house, he sent Shaphan the son of Azaliah, and Maaseiah the governor of the city, and Joe the son of Joahaz the recorder, to repair the house of he exists, his supreme authority, mighty creator. When they came to Hilkiah the high serving leader, they delivered the money that was brought into the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, which the Levites that kept the doors had gathered of the hand of Manasseh and Ephraim, and of all the remnant of Israel, and of all Judah and Benjamin, and they returned to Jerusalem. They put it in the hand of the workmen that had the oversight of the house of he exists, and they gave it to the workmen that worked in the house of he exists, to repair and amend the house. Even to the artificers and builders gave they it, to buy hewn stone and timber for couplings, and to floor the houses, which the king rulers of Judah had destroyed. The men did the work faithfully, and the overseers of them were Jahath and Obadiah the Levites of the sons of Merari, and Zechariah and Meshullam of the sons of the Kohathites, to set it forward, and other of the Levites, all that could skill of instruments of music. Also they were over the bearers of burdens, and were overseers of all that worked the work in any manner of service, and of the Levites there were scribes and officers and porters. When they brought out the money that was brought into the house of he exists, Hilkiah the serving leader found a book of the instruction law of he exists given by Moses. Hilkiah answered and said to Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the instruction law in the house of he exists. And Hilkiah delivered the book to Shaphan. Shaphan carried the book to the king ruler, and brought the king ruler word back again, saying, all that was committed to your servant workers, they do it. They have gathered together the money that was found in the house of he exists, and have delivered it into the hand of the overseers, and to the hand of the workmen. Then Shaphan the scribe told the king ruler, saying, Hilkiah the serving leader has given me a book. And Shaphan read it before the king ruler. It happened, when the king ruler had heard the words of the instruction law, that he rent his clothes. The king ruler commanded Hilkiah, and Acham the son of Shaphan, and Abnan the son of Micah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asaiah a servant worker of the king ruler, saying, Go inquire if he exists for me and for them that are left in Israel and in Judah concerning the words of the book that is found, because great is the wrath of he exists that is poured out upon us, because our fathers have not kept the word of he exists to do after all that is written in this book. Hilkiah and they that the king ruler had appointed went to hold of the prophetess, the wife of Shallum the son of Tikvath, the son of Hasra, keeper of the wardrobe. Now she dwelt in Jerusalem in the college, and they spoke to her to that effect. She answered them, Thus says he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, tell you the man that sent you to me. Thus says he exists, Look, I will bring evil upon this place, and upon the inhabitants thereof, even all the curses that are written in the book, which they have read before the king ruler of Judah, because they have forsaken me, and have burned incense to other supreme authorities, that they might provoke me to anger with all the works of their hands. Therefore my wrath will be poured out upon this place, and will not be quenched. As for the king ruler of Judah who sent you to inquire if he exists, so will you say to him thus, says he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of Israel, concerning the words which you have heard, because your inner thinking center was tender and you humbled yourself before the supreme authority, mighty creator, when you heard his words against this place and against the inhabitants thereof, and humbled yourself before me, and rent your clothes and wept before me. I have even heard you also, says he exists. Look, I will gather you to your fathers, and you will be gathered to your grave in peace, neither will your eyes see all the evil that I will bring upon this place and upon the inhabitants of the same. So they brought the king ruler word again. Then the king ruler sent and gathered together all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. King ruler went up into the house of he exists, and all the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the serving leaders and the Levites and all the people, group great and small, and he read in their ears all the words of the book of the binding agreement that was found in the house of he exists. The king ruler stood in his place and made a binding agreement before he exists, to walk after he exists, and to keep his commands and his testimonies and his set rules with all his inner thinking center and with all his life breath, to perform the words of the binding agreement which are written in this book. He caused all that were present in Jerusalem and Benjamin to stand to it, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem did according to the binding agreement of the supreme authority, mighty creator, the supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers. Josiah took away all the detestable things out of all the countries that pertained to the children of Israel, and made all that were present in Israel to serve, even to serve he exists, their supreme authority, mighty creator, and all his days they departed not from following he exists, the supreme authority, mighty creator of their fathers. 2 Chronicles chapter 35. Moreover, Josiah kept a Pesach to he exists in Jerusalem, and they killed the Pesach on the 14th day of the first month. He set the serving leaders in their charges and encouraged them to the service of the house of he exists. Said to the Levites that taught all Israel, which were set apart to he exists, put the set apart ark in the house which Solomon the son of David, king ruler of Israel, did build. It will not be a burden upon your shoulders. Serve now he exists, your supreme authority, mighty creator, and his people, group Israel. Prepare yourselves by the houses of your fathers after your courses, according to the writing of David, king ruler of Israel, and according to the writing of Solomon his son. Stand in the set-apart place according to the divisions of the families of the fathers of your brothers, the people group, and after the division of the families of the Levites. So kill the Pesach and set apart yourselves and prepare your brothers, that they may do according to the word of he exists, by the hand of Moses. Josiah gave to the people group of the flock lambs and kids, all for the Pesach offerings, for all that were present, to the number of 30,000 and 3,000 bullocks. These were of the king ruler's substance. His princes gave willingly to the people group, to the serving leaders, and to the Levites, Elpaiah and Zechariah and Jehiel, rulers of the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, gave to the serving leaders for the Pesach offerings 2,600 small cattle and 300 oxen. Cananiah also, and Shemiah and Nethaneel his brothers, and Hashabiah and Jael and Jozabad chief of the Levites, gave to the Levites for the Pesach offerings 5,000 small cattle and 500 oxen. So the service was prepared, and the serving leaders stood in their place, and the Levites in their courses, according to the king ruler's commandment. They killed the Pesach, and the serving leaders sprinkled the blood from their hands, and the Levites flayed them. They removed the burnt offerings, that they might give according to the divisions of the families of the people group, to offer to he exists, as it is written in the book of Moses. And so did they with the oxen. They roasted the Pesach with fire according to the ordinance, but the other set apart offerings they sawed in pots and in cauldrons and in pans, and divided them speedily among all the people group. Afterward they made ready for themselves and for the serving leaders, because the serving leaders, the sons of Aaron, were busied in offering of burnt offerings and the fat until night. Therefore the Levites prepared for themselves and for the serving leaders, the sons of Aaron, the singers, the sons of Asaph, were in their place according to the commandment of David, and Asaph, and Heman, and Jeduthun the king ruler's seer, and the porters waited at every gate they might not depart from their service, because their brothers the Levites prepared for them. So all the service of he exists was prepared the same day to keep the Pesach, and to offer burnt offerings upon the altar of he exists, according to the commandment of king ruler Josiah. The children of Israel that were present kept the Pesach at that time, and the feast of unleavened bread 7 days. There was no Pesach like to that kept in Israel from the days of Samuel the speaker, neither did all the king rulers of Israel keep such a Pesach as Josiah kept, and the serving leaders and the Levites and all Judah and Israel that were present, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. In the 18th year of the reign of Josiah was this Pesach kept. After all this, when Josiah had prepared the set-apart house, Necho king ruler of Egypt came up to fight against Carchemish by Euphrates, and Josiah went out against him. But he sent ambassadors to him, saying, What have I to do with you, king ruler of Judah? I come not against you this day, but against the house wherewith I have war, because the supreme authority mighty creator commanded me to make haste forbear you from meddling with the supreme authority mighty creator who is with me, that he destroy you not. Nevertheless Josiah would not turn his face from him, but disguised himself, that he might fight with him, and listened not to the words of Necho from the mouth of the supreme authority mighty creator, and came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. The archers shot at king ruler Josiah, and the king ruler said to his servant workers, Have me away, because I am sore wounded. His servant workers therefore took him out of that chariot, and put him in the second chariot that he had, and they brought him to Jerusalem. And he died, and was buried in one of the sepulchres of his fathers, and all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Josiah. Jeremiah lamented for Josiah, and all the singing men and the singing women spoke of Josiah in their lamentations to this day, and made them an ordinance in Israel, and look, they are written in the lamentations. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah, and his goodness according to that which was written in the instruction law of he exists. His deeds first and last, look, they are written in the book of the king rulers of Israel and Judah. 2 Chronicles chapter 36. Then the people group of the land took Jehoahaz the son of Josiah, and made him king ruler in his father's stead in Jerusalem. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months in Jerusalem. The king ruler of Egypt put him down at Jerusalem, and condemned the land in 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. The king ruler of Egypt made Eliakim his brother king ruler over Judah and Jerusalem, and turned his name to Jehoiakim. And Necho took Jehoahaz his brother, and carried him to Egypt. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of he exists, his supreme authority mighty creator. Against him came up Nebuchadnezzar king ruler of Babylon, and bound him in fetters to carry him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also carried of the vessels of the house of he exists to Babylon, and put them in his set-apart house at Babylon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim, and his abominations which he did, and that which was found in him, look, they are written in the book of the king rulers of Israel and Judah. And Jehoiachin his son reigned in his stead. Jehoiachin was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 3 months and 10 days in Jerusalem, and he did that which was evil in the sight of he exists. When the year was expired, king ruler Nebuchadnezzar sent, and brought him to Babylon with the goodly vessels of the house of he exists, and made Zedekiah his brother king ruler over Judah and Jerusalem. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. He did that which was evil in the sight of he exists, his supreme authority mighty creator, and humbled not himself before Jeremiah the speaker, speaking from the mouth of he exists. He also rebelled against king ruler Nebuchadnezzar, who had made him swear by the supreme authority mighty creator. But he stiffened his neck, and hardened his inner thinking center from turning to he exists, supreme authority mighty creator of Israel. Moreover, all the chief of the serving leaders and the people group transgressed very much after all the detestable things of the people nations, and polluted the house of he exists, which he had set apart in Jerusalem. He exists, supreme authority mighty creator of their fathers, sent to them by his messengers, rising up early and sending, because he had compassion on his people group and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of the supreme authority mighty creator, and despised his words, and misused his speakers, until the wrath that he exists arose against his people group till there was no remedy. Therefore he brought upon them the king ruler of the Chaldees, who killed their young men with the sword in the house of their set-apart place, and had no compassion upon young man or maiden, old man or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand, all the vessels of the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, great and small, and the treasures of the house of he exists, and the treasures of the king ruler and of his princes, all these he brought to Babylon. They burnt the house of the supreme authority, mighty creator, and broke down the wall of Jerusalem, and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire, and destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. They that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon, where they were servant workers to him and his sons until the reign of the kingdom rule of Persia, to fulfill the word of he exists by the mouth of Jeremiah, until the land had enjoyed her Sabbaths, because as long as she lay desolate she kept Sabbath to fulfill 60 years. Now in the first year of Cyrus king ruler of Persia, that the word of he exists spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, he exists stirred up the breath of Cyrus king ruler of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom rule, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus says Cyrus king ruler of Persia, all the kingdom rules of the land has he exists, supreme authority, mighty creator of heaven, given me, and he has charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Whoever there is among you of all his people group, he exists, his supreme authority, mighty creator, be with him, and let him go up.